All right, we ready to get this going?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, since Potion Shop's ready, 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome to episode 52 of Nerds and Words. I'll be your host today, Tim Allen 1337, joined with the man who is so small he overpaid for his car because the salesman convinced him it was actually an SUV, Moreland TV.
I think your camera's off.
It's not. You have to click the podcast thing.
Okay, I can see now. It's fixed.
Okay. No content, no problem. I'll make some shit up and call it a tier list. Potion Shop TV.
Hey, my tier list is top notch.
And the man whose favorite pastime is making white people so racially uncomfortable they have a very tough time making clever intros, Kerr.
Yo, what's up, Tim? Dude, I didn't even make you uncomfortable yet today, okay? I've given you a pass. Not the pass, Tim, but I've given you a pass.
You've given me so many passes, I don't even know what they're all for. So we have a pretty interesting podcast lined up today. As we announced, or if you guys missed last week, we are kind of shifting this into a broader MMO focused, a broader stroke of a MMO podcast, as some of us are starting to kind of move into different games, and we're all fans of the genre more than anything or one specific game. Before we jump into all of that, and maybe to break some ice and lead us into it, Kerr, would you like to talk about your week and past couple hours and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, I've been still on this kick of like doing basically nothing because I don't have any like summer classes like I did last month. But today I had this like PA featured segment they've been doing where they like take different streamers and then have them do 2 hours on a different topic. So I think like Frosty did 2 hours of like helping seasonal players grind effectively, and Joe did something about guilds. And yeah, and then there was like a bunch of different other topics. They had me do one today on like helping seasonal / new players get into life skills, and then it was pretty cool because I haven't looked at like that version of the game from the lens of like a brand new player in a long time. So I was able to like it was kind of a challenge to keep everything surface level and like cram a lot of information in 2 hours, but it was pretty good. It was good, yeah.
What was the main topic that you focused on for life skilling?
So the main topic I focused on was like how to get into it, like how to get started. So I kind of was most so like talking about the ones that were the easiest to get into. And I did a lot of focus on the difference between the difference between enhancing life gear versus enhancing Tuvala, right? Because like there's nothing really in the season that teaches you that enhancing life gear, you don't need fail stacks except for the tools, right? It's just kind of like I go to this NPC, buy the Logia or Geranoa, and then smash stones into it. So I try to keep it really surface level with stuff like that. And then pointing out how good Imperials were, trying to get people to know like, yo, Imperials are good. You should be doing this even if you're a combat player, right? A couple 100 million, maybe billions at some point, right? When you get to Guru per month just from turning in boxes. So
all right,
it was fun.
So for someone who is hasn't done Imperials in a while, what would be good Imperials to choose for like, low life skill level in cooking and higher?
So nowadays, with the profit margin and the value of things, you should do professional pickled veggie boxes all the way until Guru, honestly. Just because the profit margins on it are even better than most artisan and master tier recipes, which sounds weird, I know, but it's because you have to take into the account the market value of the dish itself and the materials that go into it. And because pickled veggies, you can get everything from a vendor, and the only thing that comes from the market is wheat. It has the highest profit margins for the majority of things. Now, there are some like exceptions where you have like blue procs from different recipes that can have some pretty good margins, but for the sake of keeping it like, simple, professional pickled veggie boxes are like the go-to until you can get to Guru boxes. Yeah, so that was fun. That was pretty cool. They gave me that was a really hard one, but I think we did it pretty well. And it was a good time, honestly.
What is the one life skill for new players to avoid?
Alchemy.
One.
That shit's trash. Bro.
One.
Honestly, it's like half of them is the one. Not half of them, but you should definitely avoid alchemy because alchemy outside, unless you play like SEA server where like everything is max price, you shouldn't do alchemy. And trading is also a trap until the new trading rework that comes out.
What about sailing?
Sailing, I mean, if you tie sailing and bartering together, bartering is really good. Honestly, I think bartering is good.
Yeah, but what about just sailing?
But just sailing, sailing is like daily simulator, bro. This is like a daily simulator.
What about hunting? Should we hunt?
Hey, dude, we actually, I got the boys together. We hunted a calc on stream, dude.
I
When's the
saw
last
that.
time you hunted a calc, bro?
I didn't even know you could shoot a gun on a horse.
Yeah, dude.
That's the
I
best
actually
way to
made
do
30
it.
mil from that calc.
I thought that was not in the spirit of the game.
The calc trains used to be legit.
Yeah.
Talk about neglected content.
I remember the calc train days and the whaling. I got to start doing whales again because they added this giant like whale that you can get and put on your wall. It's like a big blue whale, but it's like so rare that you have to hunt like thousands of whales.
Actually, I actually like the idea of that, like a little trophy you can put up there. I hear the profit's a little better too because it made it where you get the tendons and stuff a little more commonly.
Yeah, it's like whale hunting was really good when tendons were max price, but then like they crashed when they added in those alchemy boxes. It really, really took a big hit to the tendons. Honestly,
I still have like 200 in my bank.
Yeah, so that's basically straightforward, I guess.
That was like the bane
Man,
of
I
my
miss those
existence.
hunting. Those whale groups where you'd have like 20 people packed onto a fishing boat.
Yeah, dude, I
used to
did
be
that.
So good.
I did that back like at the beginning of the year when they first added the giant blue whale that you can put on your house, like in your house. But then like I never got a piece of it because it's basically like it's like a RNG, of course, video, and there's like 3 different parts, and each part has a crazy low drop rate, and you can get duplicates. So it's
It's like trying to get a compass from whales.
yeah, basically, pretty much, yeah. So you need like different bones. You need like what do you need? You need like a cranial bone, a chest bone, and a tailbone to make the giant whale to put in your house.
It's Monster Hunter. What's it called? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, you need the whale tendons for the Ephirius sailboat. So I guess you can finally make a Ephirius sailboat without having to do blue whales.
Yeah, also, that thing. A lot of people use them for the whale elixirs as well for PvP to like cheese with the whale
HP.
tendons.
What part of the whale does it need? The tendon? Is it the tendon for that?
Yeah, the whale tendon for the whale tendon elixirs.
Yeah, I've been using the meals. I've been using the meals for energy regen because if you pop the meal, it gives you plus 10 energy, and then if you pop it again before it gets off cooldown, you get 10 energy regen.
Wow.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the food spamming
Yep.
the food. And
I've been using that for extra 20 energy an hour while gathering.
Cool, man. Sounds like you had a good week. Congrats on the spotlight. Do you think that helped you as a streamer get your?
I don't know. I mean, they're usually pretty fun. They're usually pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like though, even if like it doesn't mean anything long term, it's nice to just have those little sections where you like kill a shit ton of times, right? Like you just, it's like. Because a lot of times with BDO, if you play it for so long, you kind of be like, "What am I gonna do today? Am I gonna grind and buy more Kafirs?" Or it's like it actually let me fill a slot with some content. So,
I can feel you on that one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so I liked it honestly. Yeah,
It's good. Moreland, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You good.
No,
I was just saying, like, I think like that would be one of the biggest things that would like help find some kind of longevity with streaming the game if you did a lot of like if you took it upon yourself to do these like little segments, sort of like you used to do with your YouTube videos, Tim, where you like tackle different subjects and from like a new or like seasonal player's perspective. Like I think that's honestly one of the biggest things to try to add some kind of longevity, but it's it's a pretty big undertaking, honestly.
Yeah, I thought about focusing more on YouTube. The problem that I had with YouTube and BDO is doing something fun was very difficult. You know what I mean? Where it was like the educational and informative stuff was, it wasn't unfun to make those videos, but it would have been cool to make like a fun video.
Yeah, like that's one of the biggest things that YouTube lacks, honestly, for BDO space is how do you find those fun videos? Like literally, if it's just like Among Us, when Among Us was popping, it's literally just like you play Among Us games, record what you guys were doing, and bam, easy
Yeah.
content. But like BDO doesn't really have that. Like, I guess the word would be renewable content, right? Like that has some kind of longevity that you can constantly make that same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it's
have
basically
fun activities.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's really weird. It's I don't even know, dude. I don't even know how to like explain it.
fun
It's,
activities.
Yeah, it's just there's nothing to glean. Like if you watch Among Us, right? You can learn like, okay, that was a strategy. He went here. He went behind this wall. Like you can learn something from that. But like, there's not a whole lot to learn from watching someone grind at a grind spot unless they're pulling like high trash loot. And then again, like, how are you going to do that for every class at every grind spot? Like that's just almost unfeasible for a streamer to do because of the grind time involved.
yeah,
Well,
and then it's also like not renewable content because like especially like looking at it from a YouTube lens, like how many times can you upload yourself grinding the same rotation? You know,
I'm going to test that. We'll see.
I
yeah, lotion shop.
That's what
Wait,
I was
hold
just-
up. How many videos do you have? Like, let me look it up.
I did it in 2 weeks, and I have like 40 videos or something like that.
ironically, like gear score update YouTube videos do really well. I
Yeah.
tried my hand at like an overproduced, I guess you could say it, maybe like a fake uniform-esque, but my own spin on it, like enhancing video that had like cut scenes and context and all that kind of stuff. And it was easily my worst performing video ever. And I went for like big swings on enhancements and stuff like that. And I don't think it's because I did a bad job. Um, it's just not, it's just so oversaturated with stuff like that, you know, that the game is so
Mhm.
complicated, and just having somebody who can speak clearly and concisely explain what's happening into the game is way better. And I think that's probably better translated through like, this is how I'm working on my gear, this is what I'm doing, I'll get back with you guys next week and all that kind of stuff. So you know, I got burnt out of like, it just wasn't fun. And unless you get hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, it's not really financially worth your time either. But like, again,
I mean,
to get back to the point though, like my personality, it's hard for me to edit my personality in a video. I'm much better and more fun live than I am trying to watch my cringe ass and cut it together and figure out what's actually funny in a video. Plus, like YouTube is way more Zoomer centric, where like you have to over narrate and you can't just be concise and stuff like that. You have, what's going on, everybody? Shit like that. I don't have that. So, but also
you don't
renewable
have
content.
to do that. There's all kinds of people who watch YouTube. There's boomers on there too, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing that
You're watching
I was
baseball
kind of thinking about
videos.
for BDO is like, all right, let's say BDO has even 1 million players, right? It says it has 1 million players. I don't think it does, but if it does say it does, BDO, like, let's say how many of those 1 million players want to know about a Gahaz video? Like 1% or less? Like how many people want to know about 56? 1% or less? Like at that point, you're
Right.
trying to target a demographic of like 10,000 or like 100,000 if you're lucky.
And I don't want to live in the aggregate. That's why I never did it. You know, I tried my hand
Well,
at it to see if it'd be great. But
it's also a thing where like Moreland can probably personally attest to this as well. The amount with YouTube, the amount of effort you put into a video will never directly translate to how successful
No.
the video does.
The
Right.
diminishing return on effort in YouTube videos happens almost instantly. Like
yeah.
you can put 1/10 of the effort and still get 90% of the views.
So like honestly with BDO, the real tactic is to just honestly, as much as people meme on Ace Alpha, is to really just go the Ace Alpha route and just overhype up like Tricadry ring clicks and stuff. Cause I mean they do really well. And
It's like, yeah, if you want to do it, it's like daily low quality uploads is the way to go. Like back when I
honestly,
would spend a month on a high quality video, it would do really well. You know, some of those videos have hundreds of thousands of views now, but still compared to the effort, I could have made, 10 videos that each got 20,000 views in a fraction of the time that it took to make one of those good videos. And then on top of that, like you never know if you're going to put out a video and then it's going to be irrelevant in 3 months. And then like people are coming into your channel all day and they're like, hey, you're why are you spreading misinformation in your video, man? And like it's just the video community was always so thankless when you put out that kind of content too. Like they would nitpick these tiny little things and like
dude, no, but then you also get those people that are like quote quote elitists that are like, fuck you, bro, for sharing this.
oh yeah.
I made money training horses overnight and you impacted my market. Now I can't find horses in the wild, bro. If I had $1 for every message that I got after making that video, holy shit, I have a lot of dollars.
Yeah, you should talk to Blade Boquest about that. I'm pretty sure somebody threatened to kill his family over BDO.
I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
excuse me for trying to help players in this game, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing for me when I made those videos, and my YouTube channel was far more successful than my Twitch channel was, and way more quickly. I was really just trying to get better at editing videos. I was trying to like hone my craft a little bit because I was told very early on that it's very hard to be successful at Twitch without having a YouTube channel, and it's not completely accurate, but there's merits to it. So I know a lot about video editing, way more than I did when I, just click live, monkey kind of thing. So hopefully I'm able to take that skill set and everything that I learned, translate it into New World, which is going to be, my next big focus. So,
Yeah.
Wow, that was a hell of a tangent. Marlon, how was your week?
You're welcome, bud.
I've had one of the best weeks of gaming that I've had in a long, long time.
Let's fucking go.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, first of all, just getting that video out. I know like I had just released it during the last podcast, so we hadn't really had a time to talk about it or anything, but actually getting all that out and down. I mean, talk about a low effort video. Like I'm literally just, I spent a couple days, organizing my thoughts and my notes so that there was quite a bit of effort that went into that video. But in terms of the actual, recording and editing, basically did the entire thing in one take. And that was almost something where I was going to spend, like hours a day for a week or two trying to get all of that concise and edited. And it felt so good instead to just talk for 2.5 hours and just get everything out. And honestly, it wasn't even close to everything. There's still a lot of stuff that I cut, but just having all that out and having like here it is, like, because I felt so much like complaining on the podcast every week. Like I was just coming off as a little like man baby all the time. And people were like, why does this guy do nothing but complain about the game? And I can see where they're coming from. Like they tune in every week and I'm just bitching and they're like, okay, this guy's just the negative Nancy. And I was so tired of putting that out all the time. And it's like, okay, let's just get everything down so people can see how fucked it all actually is. And then I'm just going to move on. And it feels so good to actually just do that, man, and just be done and playing something else and having fun. And like, I've been streaming probably 10 to 12 hours a day, every day since I put that video out. Like I want to get up and get on and stream and play games and talk to people. It's feels like it hasn't, like my channel right now and playing games feels like it hasn't felt in, I don't even know, 2 years.
Wow. That's great, dude.
Yeah. It's been good,
That's
man.
really
It's been good.
I'm really honestly, genuinely happy for you. And I don't think there's anybody else I'd rather see have that happen to than you, more than you.
And the reception to the video surprised me too. I was expecting like a 50-50 like dislike ratio. I was expecting a lot of hate and a lot of like, oh, here's man baby crying about the game again. But pretty much every comment has been like, I literally agree with all of this. Good luck.
There's actually been a lot of like people talking about it as well. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen all the comments about it in the partner Discord. But
yeah,
it's actually been pretty well received from the majority of people that I actually took the time to like look at the breakdown points and stuff. It's more so just like a lot of, you have your knee jerk Redditors, but Honestly, I'm glad you put out the manifesto, honestly, because just getting it off, getting that weight off your shoulders. So now it's like, okay, I've done my thing. It's out. Now I can just kind of move on. Like whatever. There's no point in being like, there's no like point in being jaded or anything. I said what I had to say and it was pretty well received, and they can take this and move forward. And if not, it's okay. I'm not gonna let it like bring me down or kill my mood, going forward.
And some of the knee-jerk reactions have actually been really funny too. Like some of the Reddit comments were like, can someone summarize the video? And then someone would respond and be like, he quit because of horse training. And it's like,
yeah, dude,
it's actually really funny.
I had someone come into my stream and they were like, so what's the real reason Moreland quit? I'm like, he's just having fun playing Final Fantasy. They're like, so it's not because they made it so you can't make money breeding horses anymore. And I'm like, what? That was not even the premise of the video. But I was like, yeah, dude, he can't get perfect tier whites anymore.
I'm upset that I can't breed horses for money.
I mean, people still think that the New World is pay to win because of the, people like are just idiots and spread that, Asmongold shit or whatever the fuck, however that fucking happened.
I disagree with what you're saying right now, and I am on Asmongold's side, just for the record.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that you ate paint chips as a child, but and never played a MOBA.
I mean, but who does anything for free? I'm just thinking like, you're not gonna go work for free. I mean, obviously they're gonna monetize it in any way they can.
Boo! Bad takes. You guys really want to get into this? These are some shit takes.
Okay, listen, dude. I'm not saying pay to win is good. I'm just saying that it's almost unavoidable nowadays. It's literally unavoidable.
How? There's so many successful games that don't do it.
Because the people that are funding these games, they're talking about the shareholders' bottom line, like the people, like the investors' bottom line. We're not talking about like passion projects.
Bad argument. Listen, you make more money if you're operating in good faith. And
I know this. I'm a gamer, so I know this. But you think those boomers know this? They don't know this.
No, but that doesn't mean they're in the right for doing it. We should call it out when we see it.
I'm just copiuming, okay, dude?
Yeah,
I'm just
lots
trying to
of copium. I mean, honestly, I think a cash shop in a modern game that has a box price with no subscription fee is unavoidable. A cash shop, but the cash shop doesn't have to have items in it that give you advantages, right? We've seen several games that have cash shops.
It's not even about the advantage, really.
Yeah, I think you have to have one in game because otherwise there's no reason for them to make more content. They release a game, you play it, and then there's no more content, and they don't develop any more content because there's no money, right? Unless they sell something every year. Are they not charging
a sub for New Worlds? Did they say it's box price only?
Yeah, it's box price.
Yeah,
really.
That's why it's a cash shop, right? And I think having that with costumes or inventory space.
What about ESO? Wasn't ESO box price only, or do they have a sub now?
They have a VIP thing.
Yeah, okay. And so I think that having a cash shop with like costumes in it or inventory spaces, like low tier convenience items, not like here, buy your armor, enhance your armor for cheaper, so like type stuff. We're not talking like full blown pay to win like BDO. But I think like low like EXP boost like after the first week is fine. I don't care about that. Like once everybody's 60, who cares if you can get to 60 faster? People can catch up. I'm fine with like that, like weapon exchange coupons and BDO. I think that's a really healthy version of monetization compared to the alternative, which is Cronstones and Artist Memories.
Yeah, well, weapon exchange coupons was a great cash shop item, which is why they removed it.
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do with what we're talking about with the New World cash shop. The New World cash shop is about purposely making a bad leveling experience so that you can then sell people a boost to get through it more quickly. The XP boost should never exist in any
isn't
that
like
anytime the devs are selling an XP boost, it's because they're basically charging players to skip the game. Why would you do that if the game was good? Even in FF14, that's a critique I have. They sell a boost in this game to 70, and I think it's garbage. I don't think that's something they should be selling. They should make the game from 1 to 70 something that people want to play, and then they wouldn't have to sell the solution to the game not being fun to play during those levels.
I mean, that's honestly what they do nowadays, right? They make the problem, sell the solution. So
Yep.
it's like
I agree with what you're saying there, Moran, for sure. Because I would hope the leveling experience in New World is enjoyable, and then after the first week or two, anybody who misses that or has a full-time job or fill in the blank, they can sell that as a way for catching up to those people. Because
bad, wrong. I hate this argument so much. Dude. Leveling in a game should be fun. The whole game should be fun. The game doesn't start at max level. You're not behind if you're not playing max level if the game is designed properly.
Yeah, but
the whole game,
New World
the game is fun at level 1, the game is fun at level 5, the game is fun at level 15. If the game is only good at level 60 and you're playing an inferior product before then, that is a fixable design flaw.
I agree, but New World has bad design. And so because
that's what it comes down to, right?
So I think if a new game was doing that, like, I'm sad that New World has a bad leveling design, but the fix
that's specious. That's specious.
I know it for sure. You can go into what it was originally. It's just fire turret things and go into a group area. It's just not like it's not a good leveling experience. And I'm sure they've made that a lot better, but still like what Moreland's saying with the cash shop, that's only there because it's not a fun experience to level.
No, I so disagree with that. Did you guys ever play a game called WildStar by chance?
It died, didn't it?
Yeah. Do you know why it died?
Oh, I don't remember it right now.
Okay. It died because it had waning popularity in its end game after the hype was done, and it couldn't maintain with just box price sub. And the game was good. The game was like objectively a good game, but their monetization plan there was too much competition. There was too many people like trying to come out and kill WoW at that time and stuff like that. So they needed something to have some extra oomph after that like initial hype. All these subs, bunch of canceled subs, free to play, dead game. Right? We saw that happen quite a bit with a couple different games. So I think possibly, I don't think this is a conviction of a bad leveling experience. I think they're going to have the money that they need to be financially viable on the start with all the hype. And then as the game goes on, especially without a sub, you have to have cash shop items. And then from there, a lot of people come into games and they don't care about the leveling experience. They just want to get to whatever the end game is. And so I think that's an easy way to monetize those people. I'm one of those people. I'm going through Final Fantasy. I'm doing my level best to try to enjoy this leveling experience. And I'm not really. The only thing I'm enjoying is like more of my rotations getting unlocked and I'm learning how to play the game.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Nowadays, as a player that like really, a lot of times, like I really value time. The biggest red flag for me is when someone asks me to try a game and they give me the caveat that the game is fun once you hit end game. Like that right there, I agree with Moreland that the leveling process itself should be intuitive and fun. Like you should actually enjoy leveling, not putting in 100 hours just to level so that you can get to the end game and then start playing it. Like I really like that. And like I don't think they should like also purposely make it so that the leveling process itself is so soul sucking that you have to like put in money so that you save yourself 200 hours. Make it so that doing the 200 hours is actually like intuitive with the story, and like you have these captivating landscapes and like memorable cities and things like that, more so than like making this like causing a problem and then selling the solution being it like a leveled character. Which I think
there's some MMOs that have such good early game that I literally never maxed out in them because I just wanted to keep playing, making new characters and playing the first 30 levels over and over again. And so I made 10 alts and I never maxed out a single character. Like that is something you can EverQuest was like that.
Was it like that because it was fun in the early levels or because it was so punishingly tedious in the mid levels to grind?
I mean, it was punishingly tedious to level at every level. That's why the early game was fun, because even at the early game, it was challenging, and your gear mattered, and your group mattered, and where you were in the world mattered, and how much danger you were willing to assess, and everything else that went into the game. Like, for if EverQuest could do that in 1999 with how simple of systems they had back then, there's no reason why AAA studios shouldn't be able to do that in 2021 with all the lessons that we've learned since. It should actually be so fucking easy to make an early game that's addictive.
Well, I basically think there's two different types of games right now, and developers are conflating the two, right? There's like the traditional Pokemon Yellow experience where you go through the game, you level your Pokemon, you level your character, and that entire experience is the game. The leveling is the game, right? The catching of gear, like the upgrading your gear, that entire experience. Or you can take Final Fantasy or Legend of Zelda. All those is the leveling experience in those games is the game.
RPG, yeah.
Yep. And the other side is some modern games where you have an in-game experience, and it's completely different than the leveling experience. And so I think a lot of games could just remove the leveling experience entirely and just have a solid in-game, and people would be happy with that. And they don't need that leveling experience because the traditional RPG side, it's just outdated and they don't want to bother with it. And if they don't want to do that, don't have that leveling experience in the game and just have solid in-game with solid systems that encourage people to play with each other, give people things to do, gear to go for in an in-game environment, and just cut out.
Well, I think that's exactly why you have something like a boost being sold in New World, because New World wasn't designed to have good leveling. New World was designed to be an open-ended sandbox game, and then at the last second they pivoted it into a theme park game with leveling. But you could have just made New World be an expansive open world where all you do is level up your weapon skills and your character itself doesn't have a level, and the game would have been fine. You actually don't even need a 1 to 60 experience in the game at all.
They literally could have taken, like, Moreland probably agrees on this, like the Albion experience, right? Where Albion, like, you're not really leveling your character per se. It's just more so that open field of like leveling your skills and like leveling like your proficiencies with different weapons and things like that, and like upgrading the gear itself, like especially if it's gonna like when they originally wanted to be like an open-ended sandbox PvP game. But I think a lot of their problems with New World are kind of like arising from the fact that they took a pivot, like a full 90-degree like change from that full PvP dream at the start because of the initial backlash that some of the Care Bears they listened to had.
It's the result of people who don't have vision just going out and copying other games because they can't actually think for themselves. That's exactly what it is. And that's what the leveling experience in most MMOs is nowadays. I mean, it was the same problem with like, why does Crowfall have leveling? It's so weird. Why does Sword of Legend have leveling? Like, why does it have a main story? You should just skip to the part that's good. I mean, I think Potion nailed it. Like, a lot of these games shouldn't even have leveling to begin with. You should just start at the part of the game that's good and then progress your gear or your weapon skill or whatever the part of the game where the progression is actually interesting. Just start that right away and just skip the tedious treadmill that you put in your game just because it was in World of Warcraft, and so you think that you need to copy it because World of Warcraft made money. Like, it's so like brain dead. I don't know, man.
In 52 episodes of this podcast, that is the second time you have agreed with Potion Shop.
I occasionally have an okay take, I guess.
So wait, hold on, wait for a second. Let me bring us back to the center for people that are wondering, like, if anyone's come in, because I see a lot of people asking, like, what are we talking about the premise? So we're basically talking about MMOs that sell character boosts, so you can just basically buy like a max level character, or mandatory EXP boost so you can get through poorly designed like stories and get to the good part, like get to the end game content, quote. That's basically what we're discussing for the most part, right?
So like I actually really accept and agree with a lot of these other takes. Like, the game should have and probably could have and should have been designed differently. But I don't think the fact that they plan on selling EXP boosts in the future necessarily damns the experience of leveling. I think what it does is, I think they may have done their market research, may have, okay, and have seen other failures, like the stated example of WildStar. And instead of like forcing themselves into like a ton of early not early, but a ton of expansions like EverQuest did, where you have to pay for it or whatever the case is. They're going the cash shop route because it almost certainly provides them with more money that they obviously want, and everybody needs to get paid and get rich and all that stuff. But it also has like this better arc and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it damns it, but I think people do. I'm one of those people that get kind of bit into, if I got into New World late or something like that, and I just wanted to get into it, I'd probably buy an EXP boost. I do it with all the MOBAs that I play, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The leveling experience I had was accelerated in the pre-alpha or the preview or whatever that thing was. So I'm good with all these conversations and this debate, but I don't want to necessarily damn the leveling experience before we all experience what it should be.
I agree with what you're saying there. You have to, when you're looking at New World, you have to compare it to its competition. All its competition is doing the same thing and making the same mistakes. So New World making this choice is not going to hurt it because everyone else is doing the same thing, right? Like literally, Final Fantasy's doing this, BDO's doing this, World of Warcraft's doing this. Everybody's doing the same thing. So at the very least, it's not going to be something that hurts the game. I think this is something that people who play a lot of MMOs don't enjoy that experience, and it could be something that could be better. And I think it's more of where the argument's coming from is I wish it was better, right?
It absolutely hurts the game. It hurts the game in multiple ways. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of why MMOs are fun and how to make them fun, and it's a sign of further bad designs to come in the future. It also hurts the image of the game, and it hurts the attitude that the players have towards the developers and puts an unnecessary strain on that right at the beginning. I mean, for a company that supposedly did their market research, how could you be so out of step and so out of touch that you think that announcing a cash shop with XP boost before the game is even fucking launched is going to engender anything other than just vitriol from everyone across the MMO genre? Like, that does not, to me, demonstrate that you have your finger on the pulse. It demonstrates to me that you're out of touch, and that whatever, I think you're probably right. They probably are doing market research. And if anything, the market research is probably the cause of these problems, because it's not gamers doing it. It's marketing people who are looking at spreadsheets and thinking like, oh, well, this game did this feature and made this amount of money. And they don't look at any of the variables between point A and point F that are the actual reason why a game is doing well, or the actual reason why a game is making money. And so there's these false connections that are made. Well, this game put in XP boosts, and World of Warcraft sells XP boosts, and it's the number one game, so clearly XP boosts are good. It's like such derivative small brain thinking that leaves out 100 other factors.
But right, is any game really getting away from that has major success, getting away from these grapes that you have?
Well, I guess.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't know. Does Guild Wars 2 sell XP boost? Does ESO sell XP boost? Is it literally everyone now that does this?
So my counterpoint to all this is the first person through the door being progress, gets shot. And I think MMO players as a whole, it's kind of a niche community in general, but we're all kind of used to what we're used to. And if somebody comes up with this kind of groundbreaking idea of how to make an MMO fun from start to finish and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't feel like WoW, it doesn't have global cooldowns, it doesn't have something that anchors them to the genre that they've been playing for 20 something years, I think they're going to get shot, and the project's going to be a failure. So I think that's got to be
old school RuneScape.
I don't know enough about that game to be able to.
Well, it makes a fuckload of money, and it doesn't have any of this bullshit, right?
You have to pay money to be on a server that's not crowded.
What about EVE Online?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Pay.
I mean, I would say that there's caveats for both sides, right? Like, obviously, you would hope that a game company would make a very intuitive leveling process so a person could have fun and like actually enjoy the process of leveling, and not just trying to get to the end game to actually start playing the game, right?
Final Fantasy does that.
That is the dream, right? But there's also the caveat that could be made where it's like, okay, well, I have played through the story and I've leveled like 4 characters. Well, I want to try being a different character, so a different class. So it's like, well, I don't want to spend this many hours going through the story again. So I guess I could see from the perspective of that, but I don't know. I don't
Bro,
know.
we need more people in the New World Guild.
I think
Come
it's
join
still
us.
kind
It's
of
only 100 hours to get in, And it's like, well, I'm not going to spend 100 hours, even if it is fun, to go play with my friends.
I mean,
So
honestly, that
it
was
is
one of the
two-sided.
biggest
If it
turnoffs
was
for
actually
me.
fun, you would though. Like if it was actually fun, you would. If you were having as much fun progressing from 1 to 60 in New World as you were playing through Dark Souls or another single player game, you wouldn't give a shit about how long it took. You literally would level for months if that's what it took.
Yeah,
Could
if it was a good experience, it was fun.
The
for
games
sure.
are just bad. I mean, it's really that simple. The leveling in these games are simply not well designed. That's
RuneScape-
why this is a problem.
RuneScape is a
I
perfect
mean-
example of that because RuneScape's leveling is literally just total level, which means you have to get every single skill in the game to 99. It's a perfect example that if you actually design a good leveling system, people will put in the time, like for sure. And I think I guess going back to like the New World, like I definitely feel like that's a miss. That's something that they missed a really golden opportunity to improve on the predecessors.
Here's the other fundamental philosophical problem with all this is that the idea that you have to catch up to enjoy the game or to play current content is also a flaw. That's a theme park structure flaw. If you're making a sandbox game or a PvP game, you don't have to build progression in such a way where new players are irrelevant. I mean, look at Last Oasis. If you wanted to catch up, quote unquote, in Last Oasis,
just give them gear.
I just hand you gear and boom, you're 90% as strong as the next guy. Yeah, you still have stats that you can work on and it's worth investing in those, sure. But if you want to be PvP viable 5 minutes into Last Oasis, you can be. You're still going to get your ass kicked because you're not good at the game, but we can get you caught up. Like you can design the game so that works. It was the same way in old school games like Ultima Online. You could have a character with 70 in their skills, and they would be at a clear disadvantage to someone who was max 100. But a character who was full 70, you could absolutely obliterate someone who was fully maxed out if they outplayed that person, or if they had friends that were helping them, if you outnumbered them, or if you caught them off guard. Like there's so many ways to design the game where your level isn't the primary factor that goes into your viability. And if you design the game in that way, then the idea of how long will it take to catch up doesn't even exist anymore. That gets thrown right out the window. It's not something you're worried about.
If you remember during the preview of New Worlds, remember Zabby figured out like the aggregate, because they had some weird scaling, so you could be useful in PvP at like level 19, I think was like the minimum. And then like the prime level to be like maxed out was 38, and people who were actually 60 were dying to 38s, and it would like auto scale you in PvP and stuff like that, so you can enjoy kind of the open world PvP at whatever level you were without having to be worried about getting crushed under gear or whatever. They obviously missed that, but the fact that they have that mindset, I like that, right? It's a good thing. We'll see where they go with it.
I think the biggest flaw is following that World of Warcraft like raid mindset, where it's like all of that stuff is at the end of the game, and it's like they feel like they have to have that like leveling experience. But honestly, I feel like just because you have a leveling experience, I don't think you really have to like sell a boost though. Like look at Path of Exile, right? Every league you'll do the same like story over and over again, but they don't sell a leveling boost, right?
Oh god, but if they did, I would buy it. I would buy it.
People would buy it, right?
That's a game where I would pay
exactly.
To
That's
skip
what
the
I'm saying, though. Like people would buy it, but they're not doing it.
But again,
so like,
that's just proof. That's just proof that the story is fucking boring, though, right? Like that's not proof that the boost is. Again, that's a fixable design flaw. You could just make the game start in maps, and then I wouldn't feel the need to, kill myself every time I start a new Path of Exile league.
Start at end game, and the game would be fun.
Start at maps.
Exactly. Just start at the good part. Forehead, like
but then
just get rid of the unnecessary parts.
Anyway, okay. So
but another caveat is like anything is gonna be bad or like shit once you've done it 1,000 times. Like the first time I did the PoE story, I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great the first time. Sure, yeah.
So that's why another like you could make a caveat for like boosts aren't bad if done right. Like they're not always bad.
Well, again, that's
but
a
a lot of
design
Opens
times-
do
flaw.
it well.
That's a design flaw because, like in Path of Exile, imagine you did it the first time, and after that, you never had to do it again. They just start you.
Yeah,
at
what if they
max.
just add a skip
True.
button, right? Like, I mean, that's exactly what Diablo 3 did. You literally, after you beat the story once,
True.
the next season would start, and it's like, hey, do you want to do the story, or do you want to just go do
No.
rifts and bounties? And you're like, yeah, I'm going to go do bounties. And that was one of the best updates that game ever had. I played the
Yeah.
shit out of D3 after they made that change.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. That's a good point, man. Diablo did a really good job of solving some of its own problems. Straight from the get, too, right? They had that weird cash shop and all that stuff, and they had to figure out how to like step back on that and figure it all out. But yeah, I didn't mean to necessarily turn this into like a monetization thing. I think all they were really trying to do with New World is keep their options open. If not at the risk of sounding like a simp, they're keeping their options open because I don't think they know there's a ton of hype behind this game and they know they're going to disappoint at least half. I'm sure again they did market research and they see new MMO do this, and then after the drop, how do you recover? And so I think that statement from a business perspective is they're trying to set expectations to prevent that dip from being as low as it could be and then recovering from it as quickly as possible financially. So
yeah, I understand the rationale. I mean, I'm not confused about why they're doing it. I just disagree with it.
yeah, but
I
again,
also don't
it
think that
damns
the
them
game.
to-
I also don't think the game is like doomed or anything. I don't think the game's going to be shit because of this. But I do think it's an indication that there's a lot of people running the thing that don't really know what they're doing, and that's true of every MMO. So does that mean the game's not going to be fun or not going to be good? No, it's going to have flaws like every other game does, and we're going to be frustrated because a lot of those flaws are going to be obvious and easily fixed, and yet they won't be fixed. But the game's still going to be good. I'm not saying I'm not going to be playing the game or not going to be enjoying the game, but the idea that they talking about boosts already when the game hasn't even launched isn't a massive fuck up. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it seems like we're gonna have a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, and that's a lot better than a lot of other MMOs where it's a lot of bad and not really any good. So I'll take that any day. Right?
I bet those.
Looking forward to it.
I couldn't imagine being on the dev team we're 10 days away from launch. Those guys have to be getting absolutely fucking zero sleep. The people that are financially backing it must be like just inconsolably nervous.
Bro,
I couldn't imagine.
I don't know, dude. Like every time we talk about this, I always have to bring this up. But goddamn, bro, listen. You would think a game backed by Amazon would be the best fucking game ever made.
Wouldn't you
They
think?
literally have access to infinite wealth and infinite resources. Quite literally. And not to say that New World isn't good and it's not gonna be fun. It's definitely gonna be fun, but it's not what I think of when I think of like, oh shit, a game made by Amazon, like backed by Amazon. Like I would think it's gonna be
Right.
fucking like out of this world and they're gonna do something
Right.
innovative. But it's
And
not
imagine the
really
reputation. Imagine the reputation they could have established themselves as a studio if for their first MMO they just
Exactly,
came out
right?
and fucking nailed it, bro. Like they could have so much goodwill. That goodwill could be paying them for decades if they did it right. I mean, think about how much goodwill Blizzard had back in like the Warcraft 2, StarCraft, Diablo days, man. Like literally decades of goodwill. It's actually taken 10 years like of Blizzard doing nothing but shit for people to finally like start quitting WoW and going into play other games. Like so much that goodwill in and of itself, that reputation in and of itself pays such dividends. So the idea that it's like a business decision to add boost, it's like, okay, if you're only looking at the next like fiscal quarter, sure, it's a business decision. If you're actually trying to build an empire here and a company and a brand that lasts, then you're literally sabotaging that when you do this shit.
I so strongly disagree with everything just said.
Wait, what?
Look at. I understand the goodwill and all that stuff. They could make themselves great, right? But look at Microsoft before we even look at Amazon. Everything they've done, including their main product being an operating system, has basically been bullying all the spaces that they get into with their capital, buying themselves into the marketplace with an inferior product and just beating you over the head with their name. Now we've got Amazon, who owns Twitch. Everything that Twitch has done in the past 2 years, as far as their public announcements, have almost always come with a "We're sorry, this was bad." The platform has just degraded and degraded and degraded. And so to have some idea that Amazon's gonna like come out of the gate swinging hard with this perfect MMO and all this kind of stuff because they've got all this money and backing. They already have product. They do really well with logistics. They do pretty well with their video streaming service, and everything else is kind of shit. They eat up all these small companies and all that kind of stuff. It's basically another Microsoft to me. They're bullying with their capital to get in spaces that they want to be in for whatever reason it may be. And I just don't think that necessarily sets them up for success. And if we've seen somebody else, Microsoft is an example. I think
you're
it's
proving the point, though. You're literally proving the point that's being made. The point that's being made by bringing up Amazon and how much resources they have is that you can't use money as an excuse. Like with all these other games, you could say, oh, they were on a budget, or they had to release by X day, or there was investor pressure. Like people are constantly making excuses for all these failed MMOs that should not have failed. And with Amazon, there's straight up no excuses. The only reason for New World's failure is like bad employees. People who aren't doing their job right is the only reason that can fail. You cannot blame it on anything other than the developers, other than avoidable failures, right? So like that's the point of bringing the money up. It's not to say that like money guarantees that the game's going to be good. Of course it doesn't. But if the people who are steering the ship are good at their jobs, it kind of should, right? Like it should guarantee that the game is good to some extent. And so when it doesn't, that tells you a lot.
But look at Pearl Abyss.
But it's also like, what do you got to think, right? Like everybody's been saying everybody's been saying that like in the MMO space, there needs to be somebody that can like buck the trend, that has the resources to try something different. Like if not Amazon, then who, right? Because like an MMO nowadays, like the grand scheme of making an MMO and for it to be big, be decent, like the amount of capital you need is ridiculous, right? As compared to if you're just copy pasting a BR or a shooter, which is the main reason why we really don't get new MMOs, right? And even most of the ones that start with Kickstarters like don't even come out. So it's like you would think that if anybody had the resources to try to come up with something innovative or something different, I would think it would be Amazon. Now, whether that means shot, good, dude.
Well, all right. So
has Amazon done any innovation in any other fields? I mean, they have
logistics, 2-day shipping, changed the world.
But yeah, so
right. Obviously, I'm not talking about like their default product. I'm talking about other things that they've branched out into.
All the other things that they've branched out into have
they ever branched out into something other than Amazon.com and made it better? Because Twitch obviously hasn't gotten better since Amazon.
Their secondary, their Amazon Music did pretty poorly, but their streaming service is very successful actually, and it's all packaged. How they package the value proposition, their business tactics are incredible.
Are you talking about like Prime Video or
that? So here's
that Prime Video has some. It has some.
They were second on the scene, dude.
They were
actually
pretty.
Here's some examples.
Pretty good.
Here's some examples. Here's some examples. They tried getting into self-driving cars. They spent like something like I think like $1 billion into that.
Fuck you, money, man. That's just some guy trying to
that fell.
That he's better.
Like they've tried doing Blue Origin, and that has been not a failure, but this way more expensive than someone else who knows what they're doing in industry, right? And if you look at what they've done with Twitch, the same thing. It has been like I think they've done Emmett Sarah has done like an okay job with the place, but I mean it's not like it's getting better. It's just kind of slowly wearing down over time.
That's my point. Is like more money makes these guys worse. Pearl Abyss, BDO Classic is the greatest MMO that is not created. That's why we played that stupid fucking game on a stupid fucking controller. And now we're just waiting for them to realize, and they've said it out loud, but they can't come to the conclusion, right? Jay He said, we have no idea. He said it in the first title ball. We have no idea how to get back to the magic of what BDO used to be. The answer is bring back BDO Classic, just like all of your competitors in the same fucking nation that you're in are doing. So that's the answer. And the more money they get, the more developer, the bigger the teams, the more projects they take on, the worse the product gets. Microsoft does it. You've given some good examples of how Amazon's done it that I was not aware of. Buying your way into a space and bullying your way for market share is almost certainly, in my opinion, a surefire way to have an inferior product. So yes,
Okay,
they could have.
But that's
they could
a
have been the
completely
first-
different argument, though. That's
No.
That's
I'm about
basically
to, I
them
haven't finished.
cashing
Let
in
me
on
finish.
nostalgia.
Let me
Okay,
finish.
my bad,
So the point being, all the market research that they're doing, they know, everybody knows, the first through the door gets shot. Why would they do that? They are melting down all these different, what they think are good, and taking community feedback into a new MMO, and they're going, here's something new, here's a bunch of fresh starts for it, let's tweak it and make it the best that we possibly can, have fun. I think it's an experiment. I think it's going to be a proof of concept that them being in the MMO space is a good idea. They've already taken on Lost Ark for publishing. I think it's just a beginning, right? I think it's just a beginning. And I think the financial viability of New World is extraordinarily important, so they can bust through some doors if they want to. But they can't do it on their first go. It's going to be a little cookie cutter. It's going to be a little familiar. It may be not as inspired as we'd want. Just because you've got all this money doesn't mean you can burn it on some weird project that they probably don't seriously care about. They're probably using this to integrate with Twitch, and they're like, "Hey, look, we can build all these things together." So
I can't talk about the future projects.
I think we have to. True. I think we have to see how it all plays out, right? But I'd be shocked if they had some groundbreaking fucking MMO out of the gate. I'm expecting this to be familiar, and that's why I'm excited.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They set out to make that, though. They set out to make something that was groundbreaking and different, and then they pivoted halfway through development. If they had said back in 2016, we're going to work on the next great theme park MMO, and then they made the current game that they have now, I would be sitting back and saying, okay, as a theme park, this looks like it has a lot of potential. But the fact that they said, we are going to go make something groundbreaking, we are going to make something that defies the genre, and then they just ate shit and fired all the people at the company who actually have vision and replaced them with a bunch of ex-WoW devs or whoever the fuck is running the game now, that's kind of cringe.
That's fair.
So I want to take a step back and look at a bigger picture. First at like what Amazon's doing, and then just for the MMO genre as a whole, before we move on to like another topic. So if you look at MMO, like Amazon games, they first made like some Rift Ball thing, which like had a beta, and then they closed that game down, and then they came out with the second game. Fun. Yeah, it was like okay, and then the second game was sort of like I don't know, a weird blend between Overwatch and that game where you play as a monster, and then you basically have hunters. Anyway, it was like a weird blend, and they closed down that one. And this is their third game that they are working on, and I think each one of those has been remarkably improved, even though they're completely different genres, right? Each one has been a significant improvement from the past. The first one didn't even look like a 21st century game. The second one looked like a 21st century game, but had bad gameplay mechanics. And now we have an MMO, which actually looks like it's going to be playable and enjoyable to some extent with some caveats. And I think just looking at that, if they continue that trend, that looks good for them. And we know that they're working on other projects internally. And I think I have a lot of hope for those. That's about all I can say for that. But at the end of the day, this comes down to, what if it's going to work out. And if you look at this in the big picture, this actually breathes a lot of new life into MMOs. So a lot of developers see, hey, wow, New World came out, it's going to make some good money. And we look at Lost Ark coming out, it's going to make some good money. Maybe it's not a dead genre. Maybe we can actually invest some money into the MMO genre. It might see more of that. And if you look at like the electric car scene, like before Elon Musk did it, how many people were trying to make electric cars? I mean, it goes back like literally 100 or 200 years. People were trying to make electric cars and stuff like that actually work properly. And they didn't work for like a really long time. And now we have electric cars from Tesla. And it took a really long time for that kind of to develop back into something that was good. And it's unfortunate that we've went from really good MMOs back to kind of like regress to terrible ones. But I do feel like this might breathe some new blood into the MMO genre and breathe some life into it, where maybe some new developer studios will give it a try.
Yeah, I think the difference between this and electric cars is we in the MMO genre, we did have electric cars. We had electric cars that could fly. We had, like, if you compare MMOs from 20 years ago to MMOs from now, I mean, it's like we're fucking reinventing wooden wagons right now, how simplistic these games have become. So that's why it's frustrating to see someone, like Kerr was saying, like a company with infinite resources just fucking sack up and take a risk. And the absolute, like, just, lack of willingness to take any kind of risk with New World's development. That's the thing that's got me so frustrated with this game, because they said at the beginning, we are going to do something different, we are going to take all these risks, and then they chickened out halfway through. That's why, like when I see the shit, it gets to me.
Like that's why I'm not saying that New World is bad, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some fun on it. I'm just saying that it's more so whenever I heard Amazon backing an MMO, and I heard the original vision of the game where they were setting out to have this
game where you could
sandbox
build
PvP
settlements
game where
and
you
take
build
territory.
Yes. And then but then I heard, well, we pivoted because people didn't want the PvP. It's
People
like,
didn't
wait,
like
what?
dying.
Like what? You don't like, but it's like, why do you have to cater yourself to them, right? And so it's like you pivoted from your vision, and what we have, it's gonna be good, but it's like what sets it apart from the.
It's literally some non-gamer mid-tier boomer exec who came through and read people crying on the forums and then canceled the game's vision. That's why it's so infuriating and so frustrating.
I agree.
Yep.
So like it's gonna be good.
Looking forward to it.
I just always say that, like it's just not the first thing that comes to mind.
Look, man, they've done a good job pivoting, right? Like, I'm upset that they pivoted, but honestly, they have, for how fast they had to shit out a theme park game, with like a year or two left of development, they actually did a really good job considering how quickly they had to move. But I do think it's worth noting what was lost in the process. And
Absolutely.
I hope that at some point, some dev actually sacks up and just takes a risk for once, especially if they have unlimited financial resources to begin with, and they can actually afford to take the risk. Like, at some point, it's about more than just money, like do something memorable, do something that's going to leave behind a legacy, like, do something that's going to garner that reputation.
I think that right there is the downfall of the MMO genre, where it's like the thing that makes one mystifying and grabbing and just sucks you in and addicted to an MMO is a lot of it is made through passion, right? Whereas with a BR or a shooter, you could literally just reskin, add some guns, add some character abilities, fucking, I don't know, walking on walls, and then sell it for a fraction of the development cost.
Some of the best MMO environments right now, I would say out of the top 10 MMO environments right now, probably like 6 of them are player run projects of old games with like literally 2 devs working on it. It's like purely passion projects, and it's so much better than these AAA titles that have millions and millions of dollars poured into them. That's crazy, dude. Like, that amount of discrepancy, I mean, that just goes to show you sort of like the passion gap in these projects, right?
So I take it you had a good week, Morlin, and you're excited for New World, closed beta on July 20th.
I am excited for New World, despite all my criticism. I don't want to give off the impression that I'm not excited for it. I am excited for it. I'm just gonna always be outspoken when I see, something that could have been and gets ruined because of greed and just people being out of touch.
I mean, it's your inner dev coming out. All right, that's just what it is. It's your inner dev coming out. And I mean, honestly, I think you have really good takes on where the game is falling short and like the things that are going to be amazing in the game, right?
I think that was one of our best conversations we've had in a long time.
Dude, I really like the like free flowing that we do with the podcast now, where it's like we kind of just let the different like conversations like flow on its own. Like we have our bullet points, but like
so potion stuff, that was your week.
Dash.
Fuck
you, Tim.
No, I mean I'm proving your point. I completely agree.
So I'm at 900, and since we've been doing an hour, 80 hours streamed for my my subathon infinite stream, whatever you want to call it. Actually, while we're doing this hour conversation, I got my final piece for the Infinite Potion, the Voltara
Holy
Colorance.
shit, dude!
Wow,
I was over
really?
here. That was when you were doing your start of your week, Marlon. I was like, I can't say anything. I can't say anything.
I just screamed and interrupted you guys when I got my potion piece.
Dude,
That
I
wasn't even my
still
last
don't
one.
have an infinite pot, dude. Am I the only one? Tim, you don't have one, right?
No, I don't have it either. I literally
Oh,
just
you don't
have
have
that
it
one
either?
piece.
Okay, good.
That
Oh,
one piece that
thank
I
God.
screamed for.
So that's my final
Bro, I was
piece,
about
and
to
I'll have mana and I'll have the HP. I'll have both those done.
Crazy.
You're a gamer, bro.
This week I got 2,000 life fame in BDO. We were a little short of that, so that's done. I also made my first pin Tuvala ever. I made it for my lawn. So what I found out is you can melt down your Narchillin gear. There's a quest we can get one. You have a crystal, right? So you can melt down and get 2 crystals, and then when you melt down those 2 crystals, you turn it into a quest to get an armor upgrade, which gives you 7 DR to Tuvala, or you get one for weapon, which gives you 3 AP, and 3 DR, 3 Master AP, 3 Master DR on Kudum, or 7 AP on a main hand. So if you're doing the math on that, it's basically like a pin Kudum minus the 2 sheet AP and 2 sheet DP. It's basically a pin Kudum. So I basically made a pin Tuval offhand for my lawn. I put down my season lawn, and then we'll graduate her and get a pin Kaposha necklace. And that will be like my permanent lawn offhand forever and ever, ever that I just got for free, basically. So I used free
Marcellin is really good.
Yeah, I used free fell stacks. I got the free codes for beginner Blackstones. I got the free Tuvala ore. I got the free everything for it. And this made a free one. I just clicked it there, and I one tapped the pin, so my chat hated me. So that was fun.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I've been slowly pushing for energy. I'm at 617 right now, and max is 633. So that's, I don't know. I'm just running out of things to do, so we're just knocking them off. We got a bucket list of everything I haven't done in BDO, and we're just slowly accomplishing that stuff because that's all I have left. I'm actually about to have a title saying I beat BDO. I mean, I'm almost there.
I claim that I beat BDO. You can claim that too. It's okay. You've definitely beat it more than I have. I accomplished my goals. So in my like little exclamation point BDO, I'm like, I beat that game. I'm off to other games.
Yep. We only have 10 days? Is it 10 days before New World closed beta? So
10 days, man.
One more
days.
podcast until New World beta.
We're
So
at
close.
90 people. We're at just shy of 90 people for the new.
We're gonna have more than that when it actually
Yeah, we have
pops.
more than that
Ooh.
because I didn't actually.
Yeah,
do the
we're gonna
sign
have
up.
so many latecomers. There's a bunch of people who haven't bothered to sign up yet.
Curry, you got to jump in there, bro. You got to jump in there.
Tim, can you add me in, bro? Can you add me to the sign-in sheet?
It takes 30 seconds, man, and it's literally the only way I can organize who I have. I've made one exception. I filled it out for Moreland, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing different between me and Moreland.
And it has, that's it. That's exactly what it is. You're
Wow,
right.
Tim.
Yeah.
Is it because he looks like Johnny Sins? I'm fucking jealous, dude.
No, it's because you have hair, and I know that you're capable of filling out
Wow. So if you are
a spreadsheet because you have hair.
if you are bald and you want to play New World, just message Tim and he will make sure he signs you up on our roster, and you won't have to do anything.
Fuck, dude.
We're full on the bold slots. So I had a pretty good week. I've been getting through some of the Final Fantasy. I'm starting to kind of drool on my keyboard about the story. I'm pretty tired
it's
of
got
reading.
some drool. It's definitely got some drool parts.
You got to the sylphs, huh?
Yeah, the part after the sylphs is even worse. Have you got
Yes,
the
it
wine
is.
port yet?
Yep. I'm almost
Yeah.
done. I've been blasting through it. I'm not reading every word that comes up anymore. I can't handle it. So
I've actually watched you guys play it a lot, surprisingly.
Yeah, you have. You've been pretty active in chat. So I skimmed through it and I'm like, this is what's happening. Is basically how I've been handling it. But now that I don't know what level you are, but at 42, you get a Fire 3 proc for Black Mage. And
I think feels good.
And going back and forth, and I set up my bars really well. I've got all my buffs on my numpad key. I've got Fire is 1, Blizzard Fire 1 is 1, Blizzard 3 is 2, and then Shift 1 is like the AoE, and Shift 2 is the AoE for respective. And then E and Q are like my procs, the fire and thunder and stuff like that. Shift Q is the AoE. So I've like got it all set up and ready to go so I can do some DPS. I've got the parse meter. I've got the DPS meter. I've been like checking myself when I've been doing the dungeons and stuff. So I'm actually really enjoying having like it's a better leveling experience markedly from World of Warcraft. The dungeons are, it's hard for me to say if they're better or worse than World of Warcraft because they're just different. And that's all I really wanted was different. So I'm enjoying that. The raids look super fun. So I'm looking forward to get into that. And then I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls. I did the Bed of Chaos. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And then, I unlocked a bunch of those gold doors. So I've been going through those gold doors, and
So I wasn't watching. How long did it take you to get through Anor Londo? Did you get stuck at any point?
No.
You just breezed through it. You ran right past the snipers and everything.
Yeah, that part where you have to like you're walking on the rafters or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a shield. I just put my shield on.
What about for the big snipers though? The ones that knock you back?
I actually one-shot that. I fell down trying to go to the big blacksmith. I jumped down the wrong spot and had to run all the way back, and I didn't get knocked down either time.
It was really enjoyable watching Tim do Sin's Fortress, and then the hardest thing that I saw Tim get stuck on was where he had to fight the two guys, the Dragon Knight plus the big fat guy.
Yeah, that took a good 10 attempts, I'd say, maybe a little less. But
that part was
wait, you one shot the Anor Londo snipers?
Yeah, twice actually.
The guy I saw you die to was, what was it? There was like some lizard dude that was in a room that was way too small for him, and he kept pinning Tim against a wall and killing him. And then Tim was like,
Titanite Demon?
I learned that I need to skip mobs when I'm going back to kill bosses. So it took me a while to learn that. And so I did learn that. I'm really stuck right now on where to go. I'm probably going to have to ask chat on what I should do next. I went back to the ghost area where you get your curse cured. And I had something. I gave it to a guy on a roof. I drained the water out of there. And I went into like this. I thought it was I traversed the white and went into like a castle. And there was nothing there. You just drop to your death. Something about a ring was put on the ground in orange strikes. And then I unlocked the seal in the tree people area. And I ran into a big wolf that is swinging a sword at me that I couldn't even hit. So I'm a little stuck on what to do after the Bed of Chaos, which was...
You couldn't hit him.
I just got fucking demolished, dude. I just got absolutely.
You are having the weirdest fucking Dark Souls playthrough I've ever heard. So you actually had difficulty with the wolf, but you one-shot the Anor Londo snipers. That breaks my brain, dude. I'm actually gonna have to go back and watch some of these VODs.
So I stopped after I died to the wolf because I realized I had some fatigue about the game. I just need to take a day or two off. I may play later today, but I'm probably gonna come back to it on Monday.
This man literally was one-shotting the spots that you think would be really hard or like you would get like caught on. And then like some of the easiest fucking fights, he would just get slammed. It was really weird.
I can get the cadence on like a lot of these hard bosses, and I just get absolutely demolished in the stupidest spots. It's overconfidence, right? You kill something. I know this shit is supposed to be hard. I destroy it. And then I go to like even just going back to mobs I've already killed, and I just get absolutely shit on. And I know it's me, and it's the reason I'm doing this is to find the weaknesses in how I play video games and get better at it. So I'm working on it.
Titanite demons were fucking hilarious, dude. That was like some of the hardest shit for you to kill were the Titanite demons. They're supposed to be like so straightforward.
Well, there's some guy that's like, he doesn't coach me, but he lets me know after I do something if I did it well, kind of thing. Like after I do it, he's like, okay, so that was the hardest Titanite demon out of all of them. He was like the tankiest. It was that narrow area, all that kind of stuff. But once I got like fed up and frustrated with myself and just stopped trying to play aggressive, played safe, found the cadence, I killed him very easily. So I was just in my own head. I just need a little bit of a break from the game, but it's all going really surprisingly well, all things considered. And I have killed every NPC I could possibly kill. Oh, the Sunbro's dead. The
Jesus, dude.
well, I did that on
You killed
accident.
some bro?
I killed Sunbro because he went crazy because I destroyed the lady, the Booba snake lady. I killed her, and the sun's
Chat talked
gone.
him into getting rid of the sun to kill the giant goddess.
Yeah, I killed the giant goddess. I asked if I could kill her. They said yes, so I did.
Oh, that doesn't make him go crazy. But that is the right choice. I'm glad you did that.
I accidentally killed the second blacksmith, so I'm very scuffed for upgrades, I believe.
Wait, what second blacksmith?
The big blacksmith in Anne Orlando or whatever.
You killed the giant blacksmith?
Yeah, he's dead. He gave me a
That's
very bad
unfortunate.
hammer.
Tim
That's
is literally
unfortunate.
doing like a kill everybody run at this point, bro.
What about Onion
Pyromancer's
Bro?
dead.
Have
The
you managed to
Pyromancer's
do Sigmaier's quest at all? Onion Bro?
I saw Onion Bro at Anne Orlando, and I killed the things that he wanted me to kill, and I haven't seen him since. He thanked me,
Okay.
and he's dipset from there.
Yeah.
I assume he's dead because everybody else is. I killed the guy with the fun hat because he told me he was going to give me magic, so I killed him too. There's basically nobody at
Understandable.
Firelink. There's nobody at Firelink. It's very empty. I got into the catacombs a little bit. It wasn't very hard.
Are you
but I
still
don't think I
using the
finished it.
Titanite catch pole?
+5, baby. I tried out. I got a magical
That's
falchion.
wild.
I got a different weapon. I have another weapon that I use from time to time that's faster, but the reach and the damage on that catch pole is just. I haven't really found anything that's better than it that I have the stats for.
What are
This
your
man hasn't
stats?
changed weapons in so long, bro.
I've got 40. Chat was like, "Oh my god, he's using a different weapon." Nice. I've got just under 40 strength. I think 30 dex, and then 25 constitution and stamina. So
Interesting, okay.
I'm trying to get stamina and dex to 40. Is kind of what I was directed to do because I have no idea how to put my stats in. But the falchion
don't
that I like to use is an
Does
int-based
Dex
weapon.
even do anything for the Titanite catch pole?
It scales better actually than it does with strength. It's almost equal, but I seem to be getting more points for dex. Like my strength is so far ahead that I don't get damage points for strength on the catch pole, but I get like 2 damage points when I hit.
It's got to be like C scaling or something, though, right? It's not
it's
actually
something.
good
Yeah,
scaling,
it's
is
not
it?
great. Yeah,
Yeah, that's trash. You should just int on health.
I was thinking about that. And I've got
That's crazy though, dude. Your playthrough, like hearing how you play the game and how much different it is than any of the playthroughs I've done is really interesting.
I feel that, and I confirmed it with a couple people that are like super fans of watching me play this. I feel that I've got a pretty unique run with like all the NPCs that have died and stuff, and they've been really
Extremely
enjoying.
unique. I've never
Yeah.
heard of someone just doing a full Titanite catch pole run in my life. That's
It's just-
wild.
Well, I got it from the first guy, and it's such a great weapon at that point, and it's such an honest thing, right? What?
I would consider that a D tier weapon at every point in the game.
Really?
Yeah. So the fact you're playing the whole game with that thing and you're putting points into strength and dex on top of that is like, if you played that game again with a proper build, it would be 1/4 as difficult as it is right now.
The only thing I know from watching your stream, and I try not to watch too much of your Deathless run, is that Zwei handlers for bitches. So I'm not using Zwei.
What
And
do you
people come
mean?
in. People are like, use Zwei. I'm like, I want a harder run through than that. I don't want to just like strength
Oh, it's
build
not.
as
It's
Zwei.
not hard the first time you use it, or it's not easy the first time you use it. It's fucking super hard at first, but yeah, once you
Okay,
get the hang
well,
of it, it's very good.
There's only 2 bosses that have taken me more than 2 attempts, and it was the Bed of Chaos and there was that blacksmith guy. The 2 bosses at the same time.
That is
So
so
I'm
interesting. Yeah,
I'm
you
doing
must
pretty
be
well.
you're doing pretty well, dude.
If the Bed of Chaos didn't have the, and I realize that's like ultimately one of the worst bosses I've been told. If
Yeah,
it
it's a
didn't have
trash fight.
all the crumbling floor things going on, I would have killed it in probably under 5. Like it's very obvious what to do, you know. And then I actually figured out where I need to go before it allowed me to go in there. I got into like the very center, and there was that fire barrier, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I just need to take care of that and then come back here. But like, all the unavoidable deaths because you were just walking in that direction and no way to find out where that floor was going to fall out was not fun.
Yeah, it's a bad fight. That whole area is kind of the worst part of Dark Souls. It feels like they didn't have time to finish it.
So I disagree with that. You told me the back half of this game was less inspired, maybe, or rushed than the first half.
Lost
And-
Izalith, definitely. I think some of the later levels are pretty good, but Lost Izalith is not a good level.
Well, I felt rewarded because I had that lava walking ring, and fighting those like really large, like half lava raptors and stuff like that. And then I like dropped down. I like fell into this pit of poison or something, killed all those stuff. I kind of disagree. Like there's all these kind of different things that haven't happened to me before because it's teaching me the game and I'm learning about the game. But then it's also like, hey, motherfucker, it's still Dark Souls, you know? And so that's been happening to me more often. And I have this, fear is a strong word, but hesitation when I push forward in progression that I didn't really have in the first half of the game that I now have. And what I'm being told is probably the later third of the game. Like, I don't know if that wolf with a sword in his mouth is hard, but I'm fucking terrified of it. I'm psyched out. So I'm stepping away for a couple days and I'm going to come back to it. It's great. I'm so glad I'm doing this, man. I can't wait to get to Dark Souls 2.
I can't wait to talk to you about it after you're done, and so I can spoil everything.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are looking forward to doing that. And then after I go 1 through 3, I want to go back to 1 for sure and do a way different run because then I'd be gone through the trilogy, and then I can come back and like, okay, well now I know that the catch pole is a terrible weapon. How easy this game could be, and I know the mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking forward to watching somebody else go through the first time. I really am starting to figure out now that I've been through most of the game, watching somebody experience this for the first time is actually fucking great content. Where that's not really the case in a lot of games, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Tim, you got an upgrade in BDO?
I did. Are you ready for this? So I logged on BDO this week after I quit BDO, and I blew up every piece of my gear.
Ooh.
It's all gone.
Okay. So
my Tet Distos are gone. My Tet Ogre is gone. My Tet Tungrad Ring is gone. My Tet Black Star is not only gone, but when I had the 230 stack after blowing everything else up, I went for a Tet back on that 230 stack, and it is duo. Wow. I got nothing.
I thought you said you made an upgrade. Wait, what?
I did not say that. He said that. We were talking an hour before the podcast because I couldn't tell time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I went for some enhancements. He's like, oh, man, your 700 gear score. I'm like, my gear is definitely different than when it was when we fought. I'm like, you want to fight again and find out? He's like, no, man, I'm afraid. But it's all gone.
I'm on a ninja. You probably can still beat me, to be honest with you. I'm on a ninja. I can't land a grab on my ninja to save my life. Probably can still get me. And I'm Corsair. I mean, I have no idea how to CC even. Bro.
Well, so a couple people were egging me on, and then I had one piece of shit come in and he was like, well, you didn't blow up your gear. You're coming back. I'm like, no, I'm actually not.
I mean, your gear was about as equal as North Chillin anyway, so you'll be okay.
Sadly, yeah.
Excuse
honestly,
me 1 second, guys.
Can't crazy.
If you want a potion, if you can take over for a minute.
Yeah. We'll jump into the Final Fantasy stuff real quick. I'm really curious, like, what your experience has been, like, going from kind of like new player to someone who's been invested like literally what 50 60 hours into it now, like maybe even getting closer to 100. Like, really wondering what that experience feels like now for you.
I am at what's 5 times 24? I'm at 100 hours, right?
Yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's over 120 hours. So what's it been like? I've seen you play just like a little card game.
Really 120 hours already?
Yeah. I see you have
a lot of time.
I've seen you been having like this like a little card game. It almost reminds me of like gotcha.
Yeah, it's basically all I do is just go to the casino in the game and play cards all day long. think like it's one of those games where the longer I play it, the more potential I see. Like it already had a good start, but everyone in the community, all they say is like, "Oh, just wait until the next expansion. Just wait until XYZ." Like, I feel like I have a ton to look forward to. This is one of the few MMOs where it seems like it got better over time, not worse, and it seems like it got drastically better over time. So I'm looking forward to that because the combat and the leveling in early game is definitely flawed. I think there's a lot of fairly easy things they could do to actually fix the early game progressions, because right now that's the main critique I would say that anyone has with this game, is that the early game story and the early game combat is boring. And I actually do think it's boring in a way that's kind of fixable, but I also understand why they are putting more of their energy into like developing new expansions rather than constantly going back and revamping old content. But yeah, I am looking forward to getting out of the base game and into the first expansion, because it sounds like a lot of the gripes from early game go away after that. But yeah, I mean, I think the main thing that I've been enjoying about the game is that I don't feel like I just have to do the story or the combat. There are so many other aspects of the game that are interesting that draw you in, like the card game being one of them. And it feels a lot like like an open-ended RPG, even though it is a theme park game. It just feels like a really well-crafted world. It's very social. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to progress. And it's been very enjoyable. I didn't realize I had that much hours in it so far.
Hey, I'm sorry, real quick. Quick lapse in childcare, so I might be away for 10 or 15 minutes, but I will be back. I'm sorry about this.
Yeah.
No worries.
You're good, dude.
So yeah, I actually like in BDO you basically just do main story, you do combat the entire time, and you don't really change what you're doing a whole lot. So like what are some of the things that you've like obviously said card game and main story? What are like some other examples of things people might enjoy doing?
Well, the crafting is really interesting. There's 8 different crafting jobs, and they all play similar to each other. But the crafting in and of itself is like this whole full blown mini game that you level up your crafting job and you gain access to new crafting abilities, and so you have to come up with like a rotation for how you spend your crafting points in order to try to make the highest quality item possible. And there's a bunch of puzzles there to solve and a bunch of things to figure out in terms of like how to get more efficient or how to make a better item. Um, there's a bunch of like side quests and side stories that you can get invested into if you want. The casino area is like, it's like everything Termian Water Park wished that it was, but came nowhere close to. It's like actually a really fun just side area of the game where you can go and goof around and play mini games and earn points that you can use to like buy cards for your card deck or buy cosmetics, or like it's just actually super fun to spend time there. I spend a shitload of time at the casino pretty much every day. I play the game, just doing stuff and having fun and playing cards. There's like achievement hunting in the game is really satisfying. Again, like other games, achievement hunting feels very chore-like or very repetitive, but in this, like, there's certain types of achievements that I can go for that are just grind based. There's other ones that are kind of challenge based. There's this whole roguelike portion of the game, so there's this procedural dungeon that you can go play, and as you play it, you level up your main character, so you don't feel like you're wasting time or anything like that. You're actually progressing. But it's completely separate from your gear or your level. Like you start at level 1 in this dungeon, and you level up in the dungeon, and it's like a whole game in and of itself, leveling up through this dungeon and progressing through this dungeon. And then there's crazy special achievements that you can get by like beating the whole dungeon solo, because it's supposed to be a 4-man thing. But there's people who solo it and try to like beat it on each class, and there's leaderboards that are associated with that, and there's special titles and mounts and shit. And yeah, dude, it's just like never-ending, sprawling content in every direction, everywhere you go, and you're constantly unlocking new stuff as you go through the story.
Bro,
I wanted to ask a question because you kind of touched on the life skills. So when the life skill portion, is it a little more hands-on with like is there a mini game related to the crafting, or is it
basically you start your crafting sequence, and then you have different actions that will like increase, so that the item has a certain amount of durability, And the durability is basically like your stamina for the crafting. So once you run out of that, you're done crafting, and the item either succeeds or fails. And so you're building towards finishing the item. So you have your progress bar, and when that gets to 100, the craft is done. But then you also have your quality bar, and the higher the quality bar goes, the higher your chance of making a quality item. And if you're making like a really complex item, you'll want quality subcomponents too. So you spend the time to make the quality subcomponents, and then you put those into the final craft. And then you have to like really carefully manage all your abilities to make sure that you're not like running out of durability, or that you actually have enough to finish progress before the craft ends. And yeah, it's like this whole kind of game within the game
That's
to craft high
interesting
quality items.
because I played this game. I played this MMO. I played it. I think it was for like 7 years back during my middle school days. It was an MMO called Mabinogi, and their crafting was very very intuitive. Where let's say you were like tailoring clothes. Well, when you were tailoring clothes, they had this mini game that would pop up where your mouse basically became like a needle and thread, and how well you hit these points determined like how good of a craft it was. And if you hit these points very precisely, it would like etch your name on the piece of equipment and give it bonus stats. And that was like some that like kind of reminded me of like the mini game with crafting, which is one of the most memorable things from MMO crafting of a game that I played. So that's pretty cool that they do that. It's not just something that's like pure AFK, right?
Yeah, I think eventually, if you just go and like copy someone else's macro off of the forums, like I think a lot of the in-game crafting is more or less solved. But the way they counter that is they add random procs you can get while you're taking your crafting action. And so those things, you'll get a random proc that'll be like the condition of the item changes. And if you react to the condition of the item changing from normal to good or from normal to excellent, then you can get an extra bonus that you wouldn't get if you were just running an AFK macro, because the AFK macro doesn't know how to react to like the RNG that you encounter. It just does the same actions no matter what. So I think you can get like a slightly better result if you do it manually, but in end game, it sounds like a lot of people just copy each other's macros. So that might get stale. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if any of that changes with the next expansion. But so far, just for leveling and learning the system, it's been super satisfying.
I really like the idea that there's like a little bit more to it, like a little bit more substance to that, like overall for like crafting your gear. Does that end up translating to in-game very well?
I don't know. I haven't gotten anywhere close to end game. What I've heard is that for the first couple weeks of a raid tier, people will craft the new recipes to get like a boost in gear score, but then eventually it gets replaced with the raid drops. So I think when a new expansion drops, there's like a short period where crafting is super important and super viable, and then it kind of falls back into being secondary.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I guess it's good because if Final Fantasy didn't do that, then the raids would kind of have less purpose. I mean, the only alternative to that would be dropping crafting gear inside the raid, which, I mean, but yeah, that seems like kind of cool. It has like this short period where all of your hard work has finally been paid off, you know? And you get to capitalize on that, make a lot of money potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do they allow you to trade your in-game raid gear or like your trade items, or like how do they work with like items being bound?
You can't trade raid gear, but I'm pretty sure you can sell crafted gear. I don't know if the later crafted gear becomes bind on pickup or anything like that, but I would imagine all the money people are making in early raid tiers is selling crafted gear to other players. So I think you can trade it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, you wouldn't want people trading raid gear. That would be, because then what's the point of doing the raid? You can just buy everything.
Yeah, you just have a whole bunch of saved silver and just blow it all, right?
It's been pretty enjoyable watching like you and Tim play it. Like even though I myself haven't played it, because like I haven't seen you guys stream for as long as you guys have been streaming, like on any game that like MMO based anyway in a long time, right? Like you've been doing some pretty late nights with Final Fantasy, and Tim was too. So it's pretty cool to see.
This is how it used to be with BDO, man. In the early years, I used to stream that game till 4 a.m., dude. Like once upon a time, it just faded over time. They kept making the same mistakes over and over again, and killing my motivation to play like that. But that's how it used to feel.
That's why I'm really curious to see how long it or if there is a point where it you kind of hit that wall. That's why I really like to see like the week on week progress in
I
Final Fantasy.
think that would happen if the whole game was like how it is. Was like the base game. But all I keep hearing from everyone who plays this game is, dude, just wait. Just wait till you get to the next part. Just wait till you get into the first expansion. Just wait until you see the second expansion. Just wait until you see this boss. Like, everyone in this game is so hyped for content I haven't done yet. I think that's another reason why I'm super motivated to play right now, because it feels like there's so much to look forward to. It doesn't feel like I'm burning through the early days and like that, the clock is ticking and I'm going to burn out and get bored and it's going to be repetitive. It feels the opposite of that. It feels like the more time I invest in the game, the better my experience is going to become. And everyone who plays the game says that.
That is an incredible feeling, I'm sure. I mean,
it's the complete opposite from what you normally expect from MMOs, right? Normally you play an MMO, the first 2 months is where all the fun is, and then you never play it again.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about picking up as like my offline game to like play it a little bit, so I have a little bit of context for what you guys are talking, a little bit of context for it. My favorite thing is I don't obviously been streaming the entire time, can't watch your stream a whole lot. But one thing I've been checking out was I watched you and you went to the casino, and bro, Moreland has this like a little, if you haven't seen his character, his little character is like a little short dude. He has like a little like a special mustache, and he's like his wizard robe on, bro. This guy is going like all out, and so he walks in there and he's going in, and I haven't watched
Peak
anything.
Aesthetics.
I haven't watched anything, so the first thing I see when I turn on is he's going in, and there's these 4 bunny girls, and he's going in there for like some ultimate card game, and they're all there to like they're all there like, oh yeah, welcome here, welcome. And he's in there just like, yes, I'm here to gamble. I just love the entire vibe of it all. It was like, this looked like something that was really fun. I watched Tim the other day, and he jumped in this mini game where a boss spawns, and it reminded me of Mario Party, where a boss spawns and he like yells, and if you're inside his yell radius, then it knocks you outside the bounds.
Yeah. There's a lot of little party games like that, and they reward you if you like last longer than the other players.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really fun. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's Mario Party, but it's in Final Fantasy 14. Like, so
dude, the game just knows how to have fun. Like, it's so obvious that the people who work on this game actually play it and actually enjoy their time playing the game. It's such a breath of fresh air. Like, even with the goofy sides like shit, the game just knows how to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about checking it out for a little bit of context. Like, it's, for me, I already know like type of gamer I am. It's not going to be a game that I'm going to enjoy long term, but some of that like crazy minigame stuff or the casino, like that kind of thing, like I can get into that. I love that. And a lot of people, a lot of people said, "Oh, the graphics are terrible on it," and I think it's really true of like the old trailers and stuff. But if you look at the modern graphics, like the lighting and shadows is pretty poor, but the actual models have like a good amount of detail to them, and like, I feel like it's actually a lot closer to what you would expect from a modern title than people give it credit for.
Yeah, I think the graphics are fine, especially once you install a shader, because you're right, like the lighting and the shadows for the base game looks pretty dated, but you can install a shader in 5 minutes and fix that. And I mean, my game looks pretty crisp with the shader turned on. Like, it's quite a big difference.
Now, how do they handle mods? Now, I brought that up. How do they handle that? Do they?
They're technically not allowed, but I mean, things like a shader, no one's get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
I have the only other mod that I use it's not really a mod, it's a parser. So it's not actually, I wouldn't call it a mod because it's not affecting the game. All it's doing is essentially reading my logs and aggregating that data in real time. But technically you're not supposed to use that either, but it's one of those things, again, that they don't really care about unless you're like using it to harass other people about it. Like if you're parsing and you see someone else in your group and they have low DPS and you're saying like, hey, your DPS sucks, and you're using a parser because of that, then that's not allowed. But it's more about like you telling the person that they suck rather than the parser itself.
I also see a lot of people that have like these custom made UIs that look so much better than the base UI. So there's like some pretty cool like
Yeah,
UI
there's a lot of
mods as
UI
well.
mods that people use. I haven't messed with any of that though.
Oh, I
I
would
don't know.
love
That
that.
feels like with how touchy I've heard them being about modding in this game. I'm kind of hesitant to use something like that. I don't know.
Especially as a streamer, right? Because like your game is visually
Right,
seen
everyone
by
gets to
so
see.
many
Like if
people.
it's just someone who's playing off stream and no one can see their screen, then again, I don't think that matters. But if you, I don't know. It seems like a gray area, so I've avoided it.
That makes sense. Like, so they don't openly support like changing your UI like World of Warcraft does, then, right? Because World of Warcraft
I
allows
don't
you to do
know.
that.
It's really hard to get like clear answers about it. Pretty much, it seems like one of those things where it's like if you just do it and you don't talk about it, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So
It seems like their goal is just to maintain the player experience. And as long as nothing harms the player experience, then, you know.
I mean, I like the fact that they're really closed off to add-ons because I think that's one of the things that ruined World of Warcraft. When I went back and played WoW Classic and we were doing Molten Core, and people literally had fucking air horn alerts that tell them when like Geddon's bomb is on them and that they need to move. Like, come on, bro. It's a 2005 raid. You can do it with your eyes closed. Do you really need an add-on that warns you when a mechanic is coming? Just play the fucking game. Like, that just totally sucked the fun out of it for me. And so I'm really glad that they don't allow that kind of shit and that I want games to take a pretty hard stance when it comes to modding the actual gameplay. When it comes to the UI, you know, whatever, do whatever you want. But when it comes to anything that's gameplay related, I absolutely love a game that takes just a hard no to any gameplay mods whatsoever.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, the developers should be doing those solutions, not the players. And if a player has to make a solution like that, that's because the developers doing their job.
It creates an arms race too, where if you have this add-on that's playing the game for you, then the devs have to design around that add-on rather than designing around the base game. And so you need crazier and crazier add-ons and crazier mechanics, and like pretty soon the game's literally just not playable unless you're using that add-on.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because I mean, at that point, it gets so like, I guess, tedious. If it's sort of like a piloting in BDO, right? If your guild doesn't do it, then you feel like that you're getting farther and farther behind because the other guilds are doing it. It's the same thing, but now it's between the players and the developers and the content.
Yeah, so I'm definitely glad they don't allow that kind of stuff. I'm really looking forward to raiding in this game. I like the size of the raids. I've avoided watching too much of the raid content because I don't want it spoiled. But the fights and the music in this game, dude, I can't say enough about. I mean, it's true of any Final Fantasy game, really, but the music in this game is perfect everywhere you go. Like, even when I'm doing mundane shit in this game, sometimes like when the music hits, I'll just get hyped for like doing some boring ass level 40 quest just because the atmosphere and the music is so good, like surrounding what you're doing. It really sucks you in, man. Like, it's an experience, and I'm looking forward to getting into these more, you know, epic fights and hearing the soundtracks for those too.
Tim, I was saying I watched your minigame where the guy would shout and would knock people off the platform.
It wasn't a shout, it's Yojimbo. He's one of the summons of the game. I was listening in while I was waiting for my relief. And so, yeah, I mean, back to, you know, Moreland's point, and he's played I 9 to 5 this game all week, basically, is what I did. Maybe more like 10 to 6, but you know, Moreland's kind of done a better job of it than I have. I'm more interested, and I think different things. He's enjoying the scenery a little bit better than I am. So I really don't have much to add on his take, but Yojimbo's a lot of fun, and Moreland even said that, like, this game isn't afraid to have fun, and that's something that I've said multiple times about BDO, right? Like, the most fun thing that they have is Shy's and the Bugatti outfit, which is a disgrace, in my opinion. I think, especially after some time goes by, being able to like make the game a little more fun. Like, these mounts, the Final Fantasy 15 mounts in this game are fucking hilarious. the 4-person car that flies and shit, all that stuff. Every time I see it, I smile.
Dude, I have the bike from Final Fantasy VII, and when I mount it, it plays the PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy VII bike music from when you're
No.
escaping from Shinra HQ. It's so good.
I had no
Wow.
idea.
Yeah.
And so, right, so Final Fantasy has a ton of history and all that kind of stuff, and BDO can't really compete with that. So I'm not saying that, but they could probably figure out how to have more fun than, a Bugatti outfit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which isn't even fun, right? Like if it happens to be fun or funny, it's by happenstance. So I'm enjoying my time.
That they could. I definitely do agree that they could let go of some of the rigidity. That word, yeah. I feel like they could let go of some of that because, like in the past, it was like, yeah, we want to keep it in the theme of the game, but now you got like flying blimps that do whatever the fuck God knows whatever they're there for, and like Bugatti outfits, and it's like, at least let us have different mounts that aren't horses. Like I'd be really.
I mean, it's really. I think it really just comes down to passion. Like again, like we were talking earlier, BDO has tried to have fun before, and it does things like Termian Water Park, and it's like, okay, how is Termian Water Park going to be fun? Oh, I know, you're going to shoot a cannon at a dummy in the water, or you're gonna like equip a musket and try to shoot like a balloon. Like the people who implement the mini games in BDO feel like they were people who were just hired 2 weeks ago, and their boss said, "Hey, we need you to add a mini game to the game," and they were like, "Ugh, there's so much work." like you could just feel them hating it as they put it into the game. Like it doesn't feel like someone's like, okay, I'm gonna make like a super sick mini game that people are gonna get addicted to. It feels like someone's just checking it off a list so they can move on to the next task. Like I don't know if they're just overworked or what it is, but like you compare Termian Water Park to Gold Saucer, and I feel like that summarizes so much about the shortcomings of BDO and the like absolute over the top successes of FF14.
And it's not like BDO has to give up the realism type stuff either, right? Or the immersion. Like they can make it where you can write mounts that are already in the game, like make donkeys Dregan, like the little birds in Kama Sylvia, make it where you can ride those, or the Kama Sylvan elks. Yeah, the Farrakahs, right? Make it where you can ride the Shadow Lions in Odalita. Like, you can make that where like they're not like immersion breaking. They're actually make it where you can tame a Hikaru and you can ride that thing around from island to island, like your boat. Like it's like some cool stuff they could do.
But more to the point, and if I can, promote myself on y'all's viewership here for a second. I've divorced BDO. I'm done with it. I'm happy to keep up with it. Like I'm happy to keep up with other games and MMOs and stuff like that. I'm still interested in what happens with Star Wars Galaxies, even though I'm not actively playing it. But my main game is going to be New World. Even beyond that, initial hype. Okay, well, you can fuck yourself. Just keep your comments to yourself until I'm done. Okay, I'm gonna keep playing it beyond that initial hype because I really want to get away from BDO. Brings out the worst of me as a person, and I have to get away from that. I have to, for my own mentality, for my own enjoyment, to bring myself back to why I love video games and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if New World's going to be the perfect answer, but it's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to go in hard for the beta. And then when that's closed, I'm going to go back to 14. I'm always going to keep up with 14. But then when New World comes back for live, I'm going to sacrifice much of my personal health to be as good at New World as humanly possible. So
I respect it, dude, especially with like streaming, because like changing games is so fucking god, dude. Changing games, especially if it's like the first couple times you do it, basically kill your Twitch channel.
Yeah,
I have. It's going way better for Moreland than it is for me, and I'm happy for him for that. But I honestly, I think with 30 people, you're not starting over. You're not starting over. If you can get 30 people in your channel watching whatever you're doing, if there's any interest around the game whatsoever, you're not playing Star Wars Galaxies, you're not completely starting over. So I don't feel that way, but obviously the passerbyers that, only click on BDO are gone.
Well, one of the big things, right, is like you had your original channel built up around Siege and Node Wars, and that was like a huge hit. And now, like with this, it's kind of you're going to be reinvigorating those viewers that enjoyed that when you're in the new world, because you're going to be the face of Aftershock, and I think that'll be huge. And I know one thing is I had to struggle was I had to kind of divorce myself and my personal image from my stream, and had to have those different, because whenever my stream was doing bad, I just feel like I'm a terrible person. I'm terrible at life. Like, and whenever the stream's doing good, I'm like, I'm the king of everything. Like, I'm the best of the best. And then it's just like I had to separate those. That way, I'm not an emotional roller coaster when I stream at a different time and I have less viewers, right? Or I stream another time and I have more viewers. I get like a huge host. Like I just didn't enjoy that. So it took a while for me to try to mentally separate those, and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. As long as streaming is viable, and the homies keep coming through and stuff like that. I'm not going to disillusion myself and try to like quit day jobs anymore or anything like that. I think it's, no offense, a bad living in so many ways.
Listen, I've only been streaming for 980 hours. It's not that bad, all right?
And it may be better for your personality and your life and whatever you got going on, but for me, it's a very bad choice for me. So I would like to maintain a day job and all of my free time. I would love to stream something that I'm captivated by.
I mean,
don't
even
want this to be
like
another chore.
even in Moreland's case, right? Because I've watched Moreland for a long time, since the 2016 days. It's like changing games for him wasn't even like a night and day thing. Because I remember a lot of times where like when he first started streaming other stuff, like he had nowhere near the turnout he has nowadays when he changes
Yep.
like bounce between games. It's just like a thing that, or Moreland can talk more about it, but just from my outside perspective, as like a long-term viewer, it's just like it's been a progressive increase. Like the more he plays, the more stuff, the more people become more open to watching playing more stuff, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I picked up on that too, which is a part of the reason I'm streaming. I was going to play Dark Souls, but the reason I'm streaming it is because when you jerk the wheel, you know. But if it's
it
it's
takes
part of
a
the
really
path, it's part
long
of the
time.
plan.
I think people have to feel a certain level of like familiarity with you before they'll watch you play something else.
Mhm.
It takes a really long
sure.
time for that. Like, comparing in the first year that I played BDO, maybe even 2 years, like if I switched, even if I took some time off to play a single player game, I mean, I think in the early days, was it 2017? When did Dark Souls Remastered come out? It was fairly, like, relatively speaking, fairly early on in my streaming career, where I went and did like a full lore playthrough of Dark Souls. Um, and I would go from getting 300 people in BDO to getting 90 playing Dark Souls, and I think that Dark Souls run, the lore run, is probably the best content I ever put out. But just the amount of people who were familiar enough to be like, oh, I'm going to give this guy a shot playing something else that he's
Yeah.
not known for. I think it just takes a really, really long time to do that. And there's not much you can do other than just like put in the time and give people a chance to get to know you.
Yeah, and especially with BDO, right? Like if you built yourself streaming BDO, like if you play shooters and shit like that, it's really easy to transition around because there's so many of them, and most of them are like the same at their core, right? But
Mhm.
with BDO and the MMO space, like changing to a different game, it's almost as if like starting over, honestly.
Yeah,
Well, you find out real quick. You find out a lot real quick, and
You also,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, you also see like how much crossover there is between different games, and like, I think it has to do with why you're playing another game. Like when I tried to switch to Path of Exile, that was probably the biggest hit I ever took. I mean, I can literally play like an Ultima Online free server and get twice as many viewers as I do playing Path of Exile. Like nobody wants to watch me play Path of Exile. And I think that would be different if I went like super hardcore, put 1,000 hours into PoE and started making
Yeah.
YouTube guides. I'd probably get even more viewers than I get on BDO. But do I like PoE enough to do that? No, I don't. And so, it's about like finding something that I can actually put enough time into to become known for as well.
You know what I was really surprised about, if I can, is people really don't like watching you play WoW. Like I think the WoW thing might
Oh,
just be worn out,
why
dude.
is that surprising?
I'm surprised. I don't know why it's surprising, but I am surprised by it.
I mean,
No, I'm not surprised that people don't want to watch people play WoW. I don't want to watch someone play WoW. That's boring as fuck.
Why?
I mean,
It's old. It's
yeah.
old and boring.
Is that all it is? It's just time?
Yeah, I mean,
It's WoW class. I think like people had fun watching the leveling in WoW Classic and like the journey. I think that was fun. But now that you're like, once you're max level and you're just doing the same raid over and over again, I don't expect a lot of people to give a shit about that. That's going to be that's going to be your core community who's like there to hang out. That's not going to be anyone who's looking for actual content.
That's interesting. Do you feel it's going to be different with rating in 14?
I think people actually like Final Fantasy 14 where they don't
know.
like WoW. So I
think there's a lot more people who want to see. I think the raids themselves in 14 are going to be better. So I think they'll be fun to watch because, like, my first Karazhan clear is fun to watch because it's the first time I'm seeing the bosses and it's progression and the first kill is hype. My third Karazhan clear is not fun to watch. Like at that point, you're just there to hang out and shoot the shit. There's no actual content reason to watch somebody's third or fourth or 10th Karazhan clear. You're only there to chill at that point. With Final Fantasy, I think there will be a lot of stuff in terms of like playing the same raid but on a different job, or playing the same raid but trying to like get a higher parse, or trying to like I don't know what kind of achievements are available. I don't know if there's like achievements for beating raids under a certain time or like beating a raid deathless. I'm sure that there's achievements or challenges either that are in the game or that the community puts forth that could keep it interesting. I just don't think anything like that exists for WoW Classic, really.
So that was a loaded question. I feel the same way. I'm kind of gripped by 14 for the parse. That parse program, I don't know if you got the same one I did, but that shit is so cool. I'm so used to just like
combat tracker.
Yep, ACT. So I'm just so used to like recount, which has a lot of information, but I don't know. I was pretty impressed with that little program and the information that you can pull out of it and stuff. So I really like the rotation of BLM. I'm really excited about it. I would love to raid with the homies. That's something I keep trying to do it with WoW, but dude, after my stint, I had such a long and successful stint with WoW, and anything that I do after that seems like a complete waste of time, and I can't get over that. It's like I lived this in the glory days and was one of the best at it. Anything I do right now is going to be worse than that. And I just can't get my head around it.
I couldn't get into WoW, dude, which was so weird. Like I've tried so many times on different like ways, but like I just for some reason can't get into it. I have like 4 level 20 characters.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just kind of get to that point. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of whatever. I don't know why, but I don't know. I don't really have that like nostalgia with WoW. Like I tried like 2 months ago to like really get in it and push, and I was gonna like try to get to the point for the new expansion with the boys. But I guess it's because like they gave like such a short heads up for the leveling your character for this expansion that it was like, oh, even if I played this 24/7, I wouldn't make it. So then I was just like, oh, okay. It was like the wind out of my sails. I think that was the biggest thing.
I mean, playing WoW Classic is just it was about nostalgia and like goofing around with the boys. It was never about playing a game that was going to be like challenging or have any long-term hold. I don't expect for WoW Classic to be like a staple point. Even raiding 2 nights a week feels like a lot in WoW Classic after once you get out of the first month. So
interesting.
Yeah, I never went into WoW Classic thinking it was going to be like a long-term thing or anything like that. I just wanted to play it mostly for the sake of like the nostalgia.
Do you feel satisfied by it? Do you feel like you got that nostalgia you were looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it was.
See,
I feel like it was fun.
I mean, I tried super hard. I boosted, right, and I did all that, and I just going through. It was like seeing the Fell Reaver was like the best part.
Imagine paying to have a character leveled for you and then not even using the character you paid to have leveled.
I mean, you guys, I want my $60 back so bad, but you guys talk about like paying to skip content. Like WoW is their leveling process is a lobotomy. It's
Dog
so
shit.
bad.
I disagree. I
It's
had
No,
so
no.
much
Well,
fun
the
leveling
leveling
classes.
you're
experience is
objectively wrong.
it is
It
the
was
game.
probably
Objectively
good
wrong.
for its time, right?
Well, no,
It
no.
was
Nope, the
probably good
leveling
for
is
its time.
actually the
No.
only good part.
That
The end
that
game
is the
is
game.
trash.
That is
Yeah, the
that is the
leveling
game.
actually is the good part, and the end
Yep.
game sucks. That
You
I
have
had
never
way
been so
more fun.
wrong.
I had
I-
way more fun leveling than I did getting to the end game and doing the same raid over and over again.
Yeah,
And that's why
yeah.
I'm actually really looking forward to the end game in 14, because in 14 they actually set up the end game correctly to where there's post end game raids that you can go do after you have your full BIS gear. There's actually like top 1% player content that you can try to go clear for cosmetics to get like your ultimate weapon that you can, bling out in the middle of town and have everyone go, oh my God, that guy's so good. Like WoW doesn't have anything like that. You clear the final boss in WoW without even getting your best gear yet. And then like once you beat him, it's like, okay, well, why are we still doing this? Just so we can get gear that'll make it so we can do this a little bit faster next time. Like the reward structure for endgame is completely backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, just because the reward system is it is backwards and it's not the best. And to be fair, it's based off of the most successful MMO that came out in 2004. But that doesn't make leveling the best. People like getting stepped on their nuts in high heels. That doesn't mean like it's objectively a good
Bruh.
activity.
That's my analogy. You
That's
stole
what
that from
leveling in
me.
WoW is getting
No,
stepped
it's
on your
not.
nuts.
Wow. Leveling is actually the only good part. It's the same way of other old school theme parks. The leveling is the best part. Like just adventuring through the world and having
Yep.
like difficult encounters and finding new zones. That is the best part of the game. The end game is just whatever. The end game is something you do a few times and then you're over it. It's not something you actually want to do week after week.
Like
I mean, I will admit that some of the leveling was pretty fun up at certain points. Where there was this one point where I had to go to this little island and kill some dude and get his head or whatever. And there was a shaman that I met there, and he was like getting his shit pushed in. He was struggling, and he was like, "Hey, can you help me kill this guy?" And I was like, "Yo, sure." And so I partied up with him, and then like I helped him complete the quest. And I was like, "Damn, dude, I can't remember the last time I've like actually sat down and talked to someone at my grind spot and they said something other than DFS." So I was like, okay, wow, that was kind of cool.
It's a parallel.
But
You're having a parallel of
hold me
DFS is
over.
group up, kill the thing, and never talk to each other again, and never say anything when you're in that group. That's a parallel.
One of them though is like in BDO. That is, you are against each other and you're pitted against each other. The other, you're working together to accomplish a goal. And even if it's not your goal, you still get satisfaction from helping people, because the best way to enjoy life is to actually help other people live their lives. It's like you get a lot of satisfaction. You get a lot of satisfaction and meaning from life by actually helping other people in their lives. Now, I'm not saying like give people free handouts. Like if you give somebody a meal, that's not really satisfying. But if you let's say you had like someone fell down and you help them back up, like you'll remember that for like the rest of the week. Like you'll remember that for the rest of the week. And it's like it's like something very, very simple. But I like that's a very big difference. And that's why like when you're playing Final Fantasy 14 and you go to town and you have all these like weird interactions with people, you remember those because those are actually meaningful. Like you're interacting with them and their experience is being enhanced because they're interacting with you, and then you're interacting with them and your experience is getting enhanced. You're helping each other enjoy the game.
So it's not music albums, it's a self-help book that you're publishing. That's what you're raising money for.
I do agree that it can be fulfilling to help people in real life, but for the most part in video games, what I actually want to do is murder other players and take all their items away from them. I think that's far more fulfilling.
So more on the point. More on the point is I guess I don't know, maybe I'm jaded or just had like a really different experience because when I played WoW, it was a little bit of BC, but it was mostly Wrath of the Lich King. We were a top US 100 guild, and we were like trying to beat other guilds to, do like Ulduar 10-man without any lights or whatever that fucking shit was. Like the hardest content as quickly as possible. And we're raiding 4 or 5 days a week and all that kind of stuff. And like the leveling was just such a fucking nuisance when you compare it to like trying to do 25-man Anubarak, and not hard mode. It was just there was so much good raid content, and we were all so unified by it that like leveling in World of Warcraft is such a fart in the wind. I don't know.
Yeah, I had the complete opposite experience with Classic and TBC. Not a single Classic raid was hard until Max, and it was only hard for the first, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks, and then we beat the whole thing. And then TBC, like, I don't know, the main challenge we're having right now is just getting enough people to log on to actually do the raids. That's
Well, that's
a lot
always a
harder.
challenge in WoW.
That's actually way harder than the raids themselves. I think that like what makes those games, what makes those theme parky games fun for me is feeling a sense of progression. And once you clear the final boss of an expansion, there's no progression left to be had. Like at that point when I'm getting loot, it's like, why am I doing this? It doesn't matter anymore. For me, I want there to be a goal that I'm working towards. I want there to be something that I can't do yet. But if I get stronger, if my character gets stronger, or if I get better as a player, then I will be able to do that. And in WoW, when you're leveling, that is literally all you feel. Like every time you get a blue drop from a dungeon in Classic, you equip that shit, you become noticeably stronger. You feel the progression, and like now there's a next, higher tier of dungeon or content or whatever you can do that you couldn't do before. And that's what makes the leveling through Classic and through Burning Crusade so satisfying, is that constant stream of progression.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hit end game, and like the fights become mechanically difficult, and that's interesting for a little bit, but ultimately, again, once you beat it. Like it gets to the point where it's kind of like, who cares? There's no more progression to be had.
Okay, so you didn't raid in Wrath of the Lich King, right?
No, I didn't even play Wrath of the Lich King.
Perfect. You 1000% need to play Wrath of the Lich King, and maybe like the classic version of it won't be that, but you were talking about like achievements in 14 where like if you do it without these buffs or this quick or something, that's really when World of Warcraft peaked. Is they did that. You would get special mounts, the Drake mounts for clearing Ulduar, just at all in 10 man and 25 man. And then if you did it without specific buffs, and then if you killed the Lich King, you could turn off. They gave everybody a 30% buff to like HP, DPS, everything. You could turn that off. And then there was a secret boss that you could kill. And if you killed that boss, it was super hard. You had to watch Russian videos to even figure out what the fuck was going on. If you killed that boss, you get like the Star Caller title. And there was like all these really cool, unique things that you would get from killing these already hard content in the hardest way possible. And then you were server first, you were world first, you were nation first, or whatever the case was. And the Cataclysm really didn't have it the way that, it was new in Wrath of the Lich King. And so that's why I have a tough time getting back in this game, is when you compare,
we're basically talking about two completely
crazy.
different games. I mean,
Yeah.
we're literally talking about two different
right.
games.
I'm saying that I'm with you on TBC being kind of fucking boring and trying to get Karazhan is nostalgic if you played it, right? The chess game and that end boss, maybe the first, second time that you fight it, whatever that shit was, it's been replicated a million times since then. ZA is actually a lot of fun. That's a really fun raid when they released that. Zulamon's going to be good. And they had a special bear mount that everybody would fight over. So ZA is when they really started kind of figuring out raiding, in my opinion, outside of the 40-man era, if you enjoyed that. And then they pushed it to the max. I think World of Warcraft peaked in Wrath of the Lich King.
So there's basically
So,
like
I have a tough time with nostalgia because
what Marlon's saying is
doesn't
definitely
compare.
true, right? It's two different games. Like the early games were really known for their leveling experience, and then the later games are known for their raids. And those are two different experiences. So it makes sense, like, you enjoyed the raid side, and Marlon enjoys the leveling side. And the early games are really good at leveling, and the later games are really good for raids.
Yeah.
Chat said, what was the name of the secret boss? Algalon or something?
Oh, God, I forgot. But the title you get in 10 man was Star Caller. I forgot the name of the boss. But my chat's saying, like, hard mode Ulduar was the greatest piece of PvE content ever made. Stuff like that. It's... I really hope when they come out with Wrath of the Lich King that you play it.
Yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to play it. I've got to see what all the fuss is about. Everyone says
It's
the
real.
game peaked in Wrath, so
It's real.
But do you guys like that in MMOs, but in the theme park cycle where like a new expansion comes out and then the gear that you had before is then devalued, and then you have to go to
No,
the
I
next.
hate that.
Like that is the biggest thing that keeps me from playing theme park MMOs and keeps me perpetually trapped in BDO, is where for the most part, like a pin black star right now still has the value of what a pin black star is. So it's like I really struggle with that concept of like sunken cost fallacy. And I know that's very bad to have, but like that's like my flaw. So and it keeps me from trying a lot of these theme park MMOs because I know like once the next expansion comes out, then it's like my gear is then like whatever. It's just like you gotta
Right.
go
So
for the new gear.
here's how I think this is a problem with. There's so much weird psychology in the MMO genre in general that I think is poisonous both from a dev point of view and from a player point of view. The idea that you have to, like, when you're playing Dark Souls, are you worried about whether or not your gear is going to be useful in Dark Souls 2?
Yeah, not really, no.
No, you're just enjoying the game, and then you finish the game and you have all these amazing memories from your first time playing it, and that's it. The game just is good for what it is. And so what's happening with these MMOs is that essentially what's happening is every time they release a sequel, they force you to uninstall the first game off of your computer, right? Like when Burning Crusade comes out, they have this weird thing now where, you can kind of still play classic, but not really. But essentially what they're doing is, like if you, by downloading Dark Souls 2, you had to remove Dark Souls 1 from your PC, that would be a much different decision that you were making than just downloading Dark Souls 2 and playing it separately, right? And so I think that one of the ways that 14 tackles that I enjoy is they have a level sync, so that if I want to go back and do the ultimate content from level 70 with my level 80 character, I have to sync down to level 70 and beat that content as a level 70. So I'm still playing that game more or less in the state or that content in the state that it was released. And I can't just blast through that content with my level 80 gear and make it trivial or make it not count anymore. And so there's still content at each tier that I could, eventually go back and do. And that's why I don't really feel like I have to speed through and catch up before the next expansion, or that all the work I'm doing now is going to be invalidated. I plan on enjoying the first expansion for what it is and doing all the challenges at level 60. And then I plan on playing level 70 as almost as a standalone experience, and getting my gear separate from that and beating all those challenges like as a sequel to the things that I did in level 60. I'm not looking at it in terms of like, oh, everything I did at level 60 is pointless now that I'm level 70.
Yeah, level 80s come and help me at the same. They out DPS because they're good at the game and all that kind of stuff. But like they'll be level 46 right with me, the same skills that they'd have if they were actually level 46 or whatever. But I actually want to speak to you directly, Kerr, about this. I so sincerely disagree with the idea that WoW is much more obvious in the way that they have the hamster wheel of gear, as I like to call it, right? Like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Borland brings up a really intellectual point with like uninstalling DS1 so you can play DS2 and you can't go back to DS1. That's a super smart point. That should probably have way more conversation. But we're using distos now. We're not using narcs anymore. And before that, we were using what? Like the gear is still, it's a slower burn of a hamster wheel, but that is still there. Who gives a fuck about a pen Zarka? It's barely useful. You know what I mean? Like it's all going Black Star. And now Black Star is like, is it pen? Like, come on, man, where are you at? Like that burn is still going.
That is true, but your pin Zarka
back,
is still worth, 14 billion silver, right?
Which
like even though they came out with
less.
Black Star, it still has its intrinsic market / silver value.
So the gear loop in BDO is
it's
like
still
3
there
years.
though, man. Don't let them lie to you. I'm sorry, real quick, Bo.
Well, you guys are just arguing.
It's still there.
You guys are just arguing over scale. I mean, essentially, there's a rate of power creep that's introduced into these games. And if BDO has a rate of 20% per year, WoW has a rate of like 80% per year, right? Like that's really the difference between these things.
Yeah.
It's a spiker. It's a bigger spike that happens
Yeah.
more often in
It's
these theme
more
park
so
games.
that
But it happens.
BDO
The same
is
thing happens in every MMO, though. Of course, power creep's going to happen in
yeah,
the MMO.
like BDO, it's like a slow thing, right? Where it's like it's not like a new expansion comes out in a theme park MMO and holy shit, bro, I have to get like even like the first dungeon gear in a new raid, right? It's gonna be better than the best gear from the last dungeon in a lot of cases in a lot of different
Right.
MMOs, right? Whereas in BDO, it's a slow burn, This they might come out with this accessory for this slot. They may come out with this for this, right? It's gonna be like a slow thing. You don't have that big like culture shock that oh shit, like I spent 182 hours saving up silver to buy this item. And then since the item have intrinsic market value, they don't instantly become worth nothing, right? So it's like
You get a
that's the
diminishing
biggest
return
thing
on
that
you
helps
after.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously you're gonna have some kind of diminishing return, but you know what I mean? Like it's like you don't have that culture shock of like instantly with one single update for the most part, like your item becoming basically valueless or you don't like,
Yeah,
you don't need it.
I like
And that's
the
like big for me.
yeah,
Well, they
I
solved it a
definitely
little bit
prefer a
with,
longer
like,
hamster wheel.
transmogs.
Like you got to think like, all right, what were you doing 3 years ago? Like nobody can remember. What were you doing 6 months ago? You might actually be able to remember. And that's the kind of like the difference in like your gear, right? In World of Warcraft. Like after 1 year, you can remember like how you earned that gear, where it came from. And after 3 years in BDO, if they replace that, it doesn't really feel near as bad because you're like, well, my year's still worth a lot. It'll be worth a lot in another 3 years, and maybe in 6 years it's worthless, right? I definitely prefer a
But that's a
game.
lie, isn't it? With how quickly that you can make money in BDO. I think WoW is just more honest about it. Here's the gear that you can get to do the content that we're tailoring for this. The math makes sense, the stats make sense. In Wrath of the Lich King, at least, there was a couple of little surprises with gear that you had to figure out. There's a little bit they tailor it for that. With BDO, it's just,
Yeah.
you've brought this up before, Potion, where you spend millions of hours grinding for a tri-ogre, and then 3 years later, they're giving Ted out for free.
Sure. Like
How do you
there's
really
definitely
translate
they've definitely
that?
made that a lot.
But, the
They've made that a lot
value of
worse.
what everybody else has and all that
The,
kind of
the
stuff.
point is
so.
like there's no game right now that has long-term progression. There's not one, and BDO is the closest one that has that. I would definitely prefer a game where you have to get poison armor for one dungeon, and next dungeon you have to get frost armor, and next dungeon you have to get like I don't know, water armor or something. And then basically then your gear is never irrelevant because that dungeon always has some purpose in the game forever, right? But there's no game that exists that has that right now. There's none that in all of MMOs. So BDO is the one that checks the most boxes for me, right? It has action combat, has okay graphics, has long-term progression, or like my progression doesn't get invalidated very quickly. I don't really enjoy things that get invalidated really quickly. Like, and one thing in New World, which I'm going to enjoy, is the life skilling won't probably get invalidated. So I can, once I level those up and the game comes out, I'll have those forever. And maybe eventually they come out with something slightly better. But I mean, for the most part, those will be something that I can keep for a long time and like feel like that's an accomplishment, right?
Well, yeah, there's specific ones that will be, but I just, Kerr brought it up, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys, didn't have wool over your eyes. That, I mean, the burn is getting faster.
I'm not
the burn is getting
saying
much faster. Actually,
I'm not saying that they don't invalidate gear, of course, like any game does, and especially like if in a game like BDO where they 100% cater like to, like 99% of their content towards newer players or like their changes towards newer players. Obviously, there's going to be more burn, right? But like, there's not that crazy huge like
all at once,
like,
I'm with
change. Like they ease it in you. You know what I'm saying?
And the
I think
simple is
that
a
side
quicker
of that
burn.
is they never fucking level the playing field then, right? So like all these exploits and stuff that happen, the sea monster hunting and quadrillion payouts or whatever it might be today, or RMTing, is the playing field is never leveled from their past sins if they don't exact their, if they don't punish people, which they're famous for not doing correctly. And so these people that have gotten away with literally murder are still out there, reaping the benefits from their sins. And
That's
so
true in
World
every
of
game, though.
Warcraft, if there was a massive issue that happens, okay, next expansion, all of that's invalidated. So there's the backside of that coin too.
I guess the way
This is I think this is like honestly an absolute gold mine waiting to happen for if a dev ever finally figures out how to do this, because like you're
Yeah.
right, the idea of infinite progression in a game is I think it's probably the most addicting type of system
It
you
is.
can have.
Agreed.
And I actually think that mobile games are years ahead when it comes to understanding that psychology. And if one of these MMO devs ever figures that out and actually puts adequate infinite progression into a game, if you had, infinite greater rifts in BDO the same way that you do in a game like Diablo 3, well, not the same way because there's some mechanical problems there, but if you implemented some sort of actual infinite progression into the game and gave people a reason to work on their gear and then gave the gear infinite scaling to match that, that's like literally just Skinner box 101 addictive psychology. That's actually such a good recipe for addictive gameplay if one of these devs can figure out how to do that without making it feel like new players can't ever catch up.
Have you guys watched BDO Mobile PvP? Like, it doesn't get streamed often, but sometimes some Korean will stream it for 10 people or something. Nobody's the same level. People are level 85 or 96. I don't even recognize this game, even though it has the same skins and people are playing Corsair and all that kind of stuff. I think BDO Mobile is such a it's almost gotta be, with how active that arena is and how they almost never face the same person twice from what I've seen. I've actually been watching a lot of it, and it's super fun PvP to watch too.
But it has nothing to do with skill anymore like it used to be. It's basically just a wallet check, though.
Wow, I kind of disagree with that, but
No,
I'm sure it
yeah.
is too.
Oh,
I'm sure
it is.
plenty of
Like,
pay to win.
I put so many hours into BDO Mobile when it first came
Yeah,
out
dude,
with Moreland
BDO
and some of the
Mobile.
others. Like,
Is it really just a
BDO
wallet?
Mobile.
Really?
Yeah,
It's a wallet check.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me
in the
rephrase
plus
it.
40
There's the
days, in the plus
potential.
40 days, it was super. Yeah, no, the potential's definitely there, and they had it for a while.
That's frustrating.
They really did have it for a while, to where your gear kind of soft capped in a way where like somebody who was spending thousands of dollars would have an advantage over you, but you could still beat them if you outplayed them. And now that doesn't exist. Like if someone's spending thousands of dollars and you're not, you straight up lose. There's no amount of skill
it
that
literally
can
got to the
overcome
point where we would face people that would play like that would be so like geared that they could just 1v30 in Node Wars. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was ridiculous.
I basically like, if you look at the design standpoint of mobile, I think from a design standpoint is the best game like of an MMO version almost out there. Like it really has some of the best design across the board, but the monetization just ruins it, right? Like it's just monetization is the worst of almost any MMO, and that's what kills it, right?
Well, they can get away with it because it's mobile. Man, if they invite you guys back to Korea, I dare you to have them justify the mechanics that they have in BDO Mobile and why they don't have it in PC. Because I would be so embarrassed if I worked for that company and had to answer that question. I really would.
They don't even think about it the same way, do they? Think the cash shop in NA is no big deal whatsoever. I've had that conversation with them. I've sat down with people in the NA office who came over from Korea and said like, do you guys understand that the Western audience does not want Cronstone's and Artisan's memory, and that you're ruining the game by doing that? And like it literally doesn't compute. They're just like, oh well, yeah, we understand where you're coming from. People have different feelings on this, and like they're so dismissive of it. They don't fucking get it, bro. And I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm embarrassed for them, honestly.
Because they really had something special. Like it was really fun in the beginning. Like we had a guild with like Silver and Moro and Joe and I think Choice was in there, and there was a bunch of us, and it was really fun during the beginning. Like you could actually like make good progression and keep up just by having your character grinding in the background with
in mobile
money. Yeah, in mobile. Like it was really fun, and we would do like Node Wars and stuff. But it just eventually got to the point where they completely changed and overhauled the system for like progression and just made it very, very just pay to win like all other mobile games.
I remember Joe was super into mobile. I forgot about it.
It was so good. I was super into it for probably 6 or 8 months after it launched. I played it every day. I always had it running in the background.
Silver was
I
one
would
of the
check
highest
on my
tiered
guy every
people,
couple
right?
hours.
Dude, I literally this was back when I worked at the furnace. Like I worked at a furnace, and I would have my phone, and I would put my character grinding on my phone in my locker, and I would and like every time I got a break, I would come and fucking check it and like reset my grind and stuff. Like I was like crazy addicted to it because it was fun because like I could spend like no money, and if anything, you buy like this little like $10 a month little package for like extra little shit to keep yourself like
Yeah, that's all I did. I did the
progress.
$10 a month little bonus package.
Yeah, and you could like be competitive just by like, having fun and like doing node wars. And they had a bunch of systems, like for example, with enhancing, let's say you were trying to enhance something, you could put like an extra 100 black stones in the window to boost your success rate, right?
Yeah.
As compared to just using
was
one.
so much better.
It was really nice. It was really innovative. Like you could redo your farms with a single click, like you should be able to on PC, et cetera, et cetera. But then they got to the point where they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna like uncap gear and you can just push and you can like basically just dump infinite money and keep scaling. And it was gross.
I've got
speaking of
four nephews. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I've got 3 nephews, one niece, and they all play Fortnite and all that kind of stuff. And they thought I was some like god gamer because I had a successful stream, but they had no idea what BDO was. And then it came out on mobile, and they're like, "This is the game you've been playing. It's insane." So that was like the high point of BDO for me. Is like my sister's kids were like absolutely floored that I had met anybody who had anything to do with this game and all that kind of stuff. So they were hard addicted for a couple months because of it. It was
Everyone was addicted to that game.
Yeah, I was too. I had a level.
Everyone
whatever.
was.
Yeah. That's too bad, man. That's some squandered shit. I can't believe it's just a fucking wallet check because the potential. You want to talk about having a private server for something that could be a ton of fun.
Do you guys think they'll ever do that thing where they invite you to Korea again once COVID stuff is over?
Not me. I think they'll invite.
Definitely not me. They pretend I'm dead.
You have to pay me $500 and pay my bills. Well,
yeah, that's right. Potion turned him down the first time.
Yeah,
they didn't even pay you guys, right? They just they didn't pay you
I
guys.
mean, other than the fact that they like paid for a trip to Seoul and Busan, that was one of the best weeks of my life, and showed me around the city and fed me some of the best food I've ever had. And like,
I've lived there for a year and a half.
Absolutely fucking worth it. It was an amazing experience. The idea that they would have to pay me on top of that. I'm very, very grateful for that experience. They didn't need to sign a check on top of it.
So some of the other people were making, or the way they were saying it was that they weren't like paying for your food or anything. Never mind, like they paid for it.
They took care of everything, bro. They put me in a 5-star. I did not know hotels could have as many stars as this fucking hotel they put me in. They put me in a goddamn palace, bro. I can show you pictures of the view I had. It was fucking amazing, man. Even the toilet in that place was like some futuristic technology that I couldn't understand. Like, that was a hell of a trip that they put us on. Like,
I would have
the idea that you would have to get paid to go, like, it was not something I would need to get paid to do. I would do that again over and over again if they would let me.
I would have done all the drugs with you if I went, man. We would have had a fucking thunder. Holy shit.
For me, like, I lived in Korea for a year and a half, and I
in a 5-star hotel with free food and people showing you like every fucking cool hole in the wall in Busan.
For them,
did they have fried chicken?
For them, the value. Like for me, like I don't care about the trip. Like for me, my life goal is like create a job that I enjoy, which is streaming, and maintain that, right? And like going over and helping Pearl Biz is not part of that agenda. And so I could care less, right? Like, I mean, you can be a wealthy person and have millions of dollars, and you can go get a nice job. Almost all those people are miserable. I could care less about. I've lived good. I've had good food. I've lived in good places. I don't need that stuff.
Like, the idea that I was doing something for them by going on that trip, like, I wasn't out there helping them, bro. They were giving me a once in a lifetime experience. I wasn't doing anything for them. What did I do for them? I'd streamed for like an hour. Who cares?
Can you guys give? So there's a lot of people in chat that like weren't around when that happened, because that's been like what, 2 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys give like the rundown, the spiel of the whole thing? You know, like them flying you out to Korea and stuff.
Real quick,
Yeah,
before you do that, I'd really like to respond to Potion because I think you might be able to learn something from this. I come from a background of sales where FaceTime is everything. And so the reason I actually went out to, hold on one second, ready for this? The reason I went out to 2018 TwitchCon, right? When I was that show up, when I was a fucking stupid ass affiliate, been streaming for like no time whatsoever, is so I could meet people, get FaceTime, hang out with them, understand how they think, operate, have some alcohol with them, figure out how it goes. It took me from being a 20 viewer Andy to a partner and taking over the podcast and a lot of stuff. Right. I know. We were all there together, right?
It was a blast.
It was a blast, but taking the opportunity to meet these people, understand them, and forge those relationships. Where else are you going to meet the developers of BDO besides being paid to fly out to their country and literally have them buy you dinner? Right? Like there's if streaming is your goal and you have to spend $0 to get out there. I know Joe like drove to Texas and flew to New York to get his license or some weird shit because he understood the value of being out there meeting these people and getting the screen time and getting the FaceTime and all that kind of stuff that came along with it. And so when you have an opportunity, I mean, like just even TwitchCon, you just go there, there's no context, and all of a sudden you're in the same room as T-Pain and Dragon Force and all that kind of stuff. That shit just happens. And if you're not there, it won't happen. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
All right. So this is my counterpoint to that, and I think that's really strong if you're trying to get into a field, right? If you're trying to get your foot in the door, that's invaluable experience, invaluable. Like it's you like literally you would pay to have that experience in some cases.
Yeah, I would have a lot actually.
Yeah, absolutely. But for me, like hindsight 2020, did anything change about BDO that made it better? That would be my goal going there as a player, like actually help them make BDO better. Did anything make better? No. Like BDO's actually gotten worse in a lot of areas. Like, do I want to work for a Korean company? Nope. Are they going to teach me anything about how to make MMOs like while I'm there? Not really either. Like I think the only thing that could have come from that is it would have been something I could put down like, hey, you can like maybe in the future, like, hey, New World, you can have me come to your place. I've worked with Pearl Abyss in the past. And that would be like a resume bullet, maybe.
Dude, you're missing the point, man.
Yeah, but it's about the experience, dude.
You gotta live in the moment, man.
It's like the bro. I was there when they revealed Crimson Desert, bro. Like I was right there. Like
it's not even that. It's the relationships that you will not forge if you are not there.
Yeah, and the free holiday.
Dude, if all I did, even if I didn't get to meet the devs, if all they did was fly me out to Korea, put me in a 5-star hotel, and feed me the most delicious fucking Korean grass-fed Kobe beef of my life, that would have made the trip worth it, man. And we did so much more than just those things.
I told Rand that I would pay my own way if I could be included. Once I figured out what was going on and that I wasn't invited, I said, I'll go, and you guys don't have to pay for me at any point. I'll pay the whole way through. And they said no. Because that is the value of that.
Can you give the rundown of the thing for the people? Because there's a lot of people that weren't around when that happened, since it's been like 2 years now.
Yeah. So basically, they wanted to pick a few NA content creators and fly them out to Korea for the big G-Star reveal. So that was when they announced Crimson Desert. They announced Doke V. They basically announced the future of Pearl Abyss, like all their other titles, Plan 8, all that shit got announced. The standalone Shadow Arena got announced. RIP Shadow Arena. And they wanted us to do like an NA stream, but that was like very, very secondary. Like there was, the whole week that I was there, I maybe put in like 1 or 2 hours of actual work where I was like on camera talking about the new games or whatever. For the most part, it was just them like thanking us for streaming the game and for playing the game for so long. It really was just like a gesture of like kindness and welcome. And I actually signed a contract saying that I was going to do all these things while I was there and that I was going to stream for a certain amount of hours and stuff. And they didn't even make us do like 90% of that. They put us on camera once or twice. And then the rest of the time they just like gave us the grand tour of Busan and like treated us like kings. And we just hung out and drank and did karaoke and ate sushi. And like, it was fucking amazing.
You got streaming backpacks for a while too, right?
Yeah. They set us up with like IRL backpacks, and Blade did
God.
like IRL streams every
Damn.
night while we were walking around the city. Yeah, it was just super fun.
I remember those days. Yeah, I wanted to get the rundown for people that haven't that weren't around the game back then, or just weren't part of the Twitch community as a whole. Because I had
It was their apology to Blade Boat Quest.
Yeah, tell him that. So like the amount of fun that I had 2019 TwitchCon, just remember we were all, I think it was you, me, Pox, and a couple other guys were sitting at a table. I think Saint was there too. I forgot. And I just had my phone out and we're like eating lunch, and I ran into some like ear licking ASMR streamer, and like just that, right? Getting a couple streamers together and having a phone or having these backpacks and being in a different environment. Like that is so cool. Just right there, half across the world. Then you get to meet all these people, forge relationships, have a better understanding of their side of things. Because we can all sit here and jerk each other off about our own points of view until we're blue in the face, right? But they have their own perception and perspective, rather. And so being able to get FaceTime with alcohol, eating big meals and figuring out how they actually think is invaluable. I would have paid sticker price for that, quite frankly.
Yeah, I never even got to do. I even got the TwitchCon experience, dude. I've never even
Rand
like,
apologized for
been
it.
Is TwitchCon coming back this year?
God, I hope so.
I don't know.
You gotta
Probably
come to TwitchCon.
I don't know, because
I'm
like
sleeping on your
I
couch,
think
though,
it's
Marlon.
getting to the point where it's opening up a little bit.
I mean, as long as they don't do it in California, they can do it.
Year. If they won't open that shit by October, then that's out of control. Like, get your
I know
vaccine if you're worried, and get the fuck out of here. They need to open shit back up again.
I know the League of Legends championships are going to be live and in person with a live crowd. They announced that yesterday.
Thank God, man. Thank
That's
God.
big news.
And that's going to be a very big venue in like New Jersey. They're doing it in like New Jersey or something like that.
No, they're not. What? The armpit of America?
Yeah. They're doing the finals in New Jersey in like like some massive stadium.
What, like just outside of New York or Newark? Gross.
Yeah, I forget where it was. So, and if they're letting them do that, and there's also like live. They're doing So I live in Mississippi, so a lot of people here they'll go to like Nashville for like shows and stuff, and they're doing like concerts, like actual live concerts again now around here. So people go to like you can actually buy tickets and go to a venue for concerts and stuff. So, I mean, it seems to be like places are starting to try to open up more. I don't know when we'll have TwitchCon.
Yeah, Silent Planet's going back on tour in 2 months. All the race car places are starting to bring people back, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think we could have a 2022.
I hope we have a TwitchCon this year, dude.
I've never been. I gotta freaking go, dude.
Yeah, you do, man.
Oh, it's so fun every year. It's so fun.
You're a BDO partner. They'll probably buy you a fucking hotel.
I wonder if they'll do like another BDO thing, because I remember that last time that was where they had the tournament, right? The NA.
Yeah, dude, tournament. That was amazing.
They'll do one for Crimson Desert.
Cacao, though.
They'll do one for Crimson Desert.
Well, Pearl Abyss was there too, and they didn't tell Cacao until they got.
Yeah, apparently there was like a small Pearl Abyss booth.
That was very awkward. Pearl Abyss was there to like boost BDO, to advertise like BDO Mobile or something.
It was console,
and
they
didn't
had
even
Xboxes.
Yeah, they didn't even tell Cacao that they were going to be there. We showed up and we saw a Pearl Abyss booth, and we were like, oh, like you guys want to go say hi to Pearl Abyss? And Cacao was like, what? Pearl Abyss is here? It was the most awkward shit I've ever seen in my life.
Did you stay in your own? Did you have your own room there, Potion?
I went with some of my buds in IRL.
Oh, did you? I never met them.
No, they did their own thing.
Okay.
Bro, I'm telling you, I keep
I never even thought about that. I'm like, wait, where did Potions? Because I slept with WTF Blue and Game Nadian.
Yep.
And then Moreland was put
you guys
up
had
because he was like the face of the whole thing.
You guys had a really nice place.
I did?
All three of you.
Dude, I had the scummiest fucking hotel. I don't even want to talk about it.
What was it? I thought you guys all stayed in the same place.
Yeah,
I remember seeing some photos. Maybe it was a party you guys went to. I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
It's definitely not our hotel.
The hotel, yeah. That hotel bar. We had we were up for a while in that hotel bar.
Yeah, we rented a house, and then each of us had our own rooms.
It takes like 5 minutes. You hang out with Moreland. He's like, "Oh, what's up, man? How's it going? Yeah, cool. He's like, "Hey, they deliver weed out here, but would you like to go out back and do some shrooms?"
Dude, we never got the potion on shrooms, bro. You guys promised us potion on shrooms.
He literally uses weed as like a gateway drug. He literally does it.
What are you talking about? That was someone else. I'm not going to name drop, but that was someone else offering everyone weed.
It was somebody else,
weed,
but then
bro.
you like creeped up and
I don't
like,
carry weed.
So you guys think weed deliveries are cool? You guys want to try some shrooms out on the beach? It'll
Dude,
open your mind.
in San Diego, I can get us anything.
Is that the California experience, dude? Shrooms on a beach?
Yeah, that's why I want them to do TwitchCon in San Diego, because then I don't have to fly, which means I can get whatever I need to get.
Okay, well, San Jose is a fucking garbage city. I mean, that's the New Jersey of California. It's basically an airport city for fucking Silicon Valley, right? So let's never do it there. San Diego was amazing. That was such a great place to have it. I think they have the headquarters are in San Diego, right? Like it should be in San Diego in Perpetuum, hopefully.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
We have somebody in the free
San
company
Diego
called
has the best
Cucklord.
convention center.
Somebody in the Final Fantasy Guild's
Probably,
name is Cucklord.
Yeah, we have a couple names that are probably going to get banned, to be honest.
Seems a good choice to me.
So, like, what if you had a TOS name and you went to TwitchCon? Like, would your name badge, like how you know what I'm saying? Like, if the guy was like,
I literally asked them because I had the podcast back
Anal
then.
Puncher 69, you know, like do
well,
they
no, Moses was Black Jesus. I'd watch them give Moses Black Jesus for a name tag.
What the fuck?
In the very large black woman was doing a laugh that you would expect from a person like that, just kind of thing.
Great, now we're all banned.
Yeah, now we're all banned.
I mean, I always wondered that. Like, what are they? Is that, you know, a net person has like a sus name? Is that just like
they don't care? They don't give a shit, man. If that's not their department, that's not their department.
Yeah,
large people have large laughs. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think as a TwitchCon seemed kind of weird because like people always just talked about like the crazy, like you'd see the crazy long lines and stuff. I was like,
right. So like if you're fucking dumb, it's a bad time, right? But like I got into some fucking great parties and shit. That chick that
you don't even go to the convention, dude. You just come to where the convention is, and then you go to shit around the convention center that the other people are doing.
Smart.
Yeah, actually. I met fucking T-Pain and the lead guitarist of Dragon Force, and Sequisha was everywhere, super fucking high, and like it was just a great time. It was a great time.
Peach was there. She had a V formation of mods following her everywhere she went, like a literal V formation. It was amazing.
Tyler 1 looks as angry as you think he would IRL. It's unbelievable.
He's
Dr. Disrespect is actually 7 feet tall. You can see him from anywhere inside the convention at any time.
Obvious lie, because he was caught cheating before we went to TwitchCon, so he wasn't there.
Yeah, I saw that shit coming a mile away, by the way.
Yeah, you can't pull up like that and not get fucking strange.
Yeah, it was.
Are you talking about where his cameraman like followed him to the bathroom?
No, we're talking about when he fucks.
No, this was way before that.
Oh,
yeah, this was like
the champions
at TwitchCon.
Yeah. This was like TwitchCon 2017, where I was like, "Oh man, this guy's he's gonna have some interesting temptations thrown at him tonight." And then a few months later, it's like that whole thing came out, and I was like,
"Stupid fucking mistakes, man."
It happens. We're all humans. I don't love him any less for it. I think he handled that really well. I think that was the mature thing to do. You know, he came out, took a break from streaming, let everybody know, you know, showed his emotions about it. And, you know, he gets beamed about it from just bottom scraping, desperate, attention seeking assholes, but cunts rather. They're cunts. But man, if I fucked up like that, I hope that I would handle it as well as he did.
Yeah, one of my
I'm not planning on making any mistakes of that magnitude, but we'll see.
I don't know, dude. We were in the same bed a couple times at TwitchCon.
Yikes.
What the fuck, bro?
Wishful thinking over here.
That POE party was fucking crazy.
It's very,
That
very high.
Tim just snorted. Tim just fucking snorted, bro. What the hell?
It was appropriate.
Bro, my life philosophy came pouring out at that party. We had conversations that were so deep. I didn't think we were ever going to get back to the surface of the earth.
He was rolling on a bed, just pouring his soul out, just out of his mind. I've got pictures that I'll sell, but not for cheap. I won't. Don't ask me. I won't.
Yeah.
Is that a podcast?
Anyways, you got to
Should we
come to
wrap this up?
TwitchCon. Yeah.
Yep.
What did we even talk about
It's the most fun
today?
I've ever had. It's the most.
Well-
I've been all across the world, a bunch of different countries, all that kind of stuff. And the opportunity for fun at TwitchCon, if you're open to it and you've got a couple friends, is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I highly recommend, even if you're just a fan and you don't stream, walking around everything's very open. You never know who you're going to run into. It's super fun. So hopefully we get a TwitchCon this year. And if you're interested or a fan of Twitch, absolutely come out, enroll with your favorite streamer, and just, we all have posses of like 5 or 6 people or something, meet up and hang out and all that kind of shit. So, do you guys have anything else you want to go over? We're probably about 3 hours on this podcast.
Well, let's go through some of the news of the week real quick, and we can burn through any of these if we want to.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to hear Moreland's take on the.
Yeah, I've been just
let's do that.
bombarded
Absolutely.
with this BDO shit, so I should probably say something.
Give the people what they want.
So, Corsair Movement Fixes, pin Kaposha necklace. To be expected.
Hooray. Yeah, I mean, I think we all saw this coming, right?
I was hoping
Yeah.
they would delay it a little bit more, to give more longevity to gear. But hey, it was going to be sooner or later, right? The big thing that people have been complaining about has been, or maybe talking about, has been either the private servers or the new UI changes, and there's been a lot of those. So we can jump into whichever one of those you think is interesting.
Well, 2 things people keep asking me about are the character screen and I don't even remember what else they did. They did something else to supposedly. The enhancement shit where you can like feed Blackstones. So here's my like 30-second take on both of those. For the enhancement upgrade, I'm assuming that they're going to try to mimic BDO Mobile in the sense that you can feed Blackstones to your stack to make it bigger, which is what the system should be. That's how it should work. That's what I talked about in my video. I don't think they're going to execute it properly. I think they're either going to put a cap on it, or the numbers are not going to make sense to the point where you have to feed like an egregious, absurd amount of materials to get your stack to move over a certain amount. So there's either going to be an effective hard cap, or there's going to be like... I guess I should say there's either going to be an actual hard cap, or there's going to be an effective hard cap past which using the feature is not going to be usable. So I think the feature is going to fail. I don't think it's going to be implemented properly. As always, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. I don't think it's actually going to be usable in whatever state they deliver it. So good luck with that. I hope I'm wrong. For the other one, the character screen, it's sort of amazing to me that people are even like excited about this. Adding a character screen to an MMO that shows your stats is not an improvement. It's not a fix. It's not a quality of life. It's not a feature. It's not an upgrade. It's nothing. It's baseline of baseline. It's absurd that it hasn't been in the game until now. And it's absurd that people are giving them any credit whatsoever for adding it. Yes, obviously add a fucking stat page to your MMO. Thanks. See you next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I think is a step in the right direction, of course. But again, like, we're so far off from where we should be that these are things that should have been in the game a long time ago. The nice thing about this is they are revealing your character hidden damage, which has been... The only time we ever knew that was from Blue's data mine, which Probus went out and actually requested Google to delete, and so you can't find any of those original ones unless you make it a copy. And so it will be nice to actually have the character hidden stats for AP, accuracy, and DR in the game, so you can actually reference those and know what your real damage is.
it's crazy that this is even worthy of discussion. I think it just goes to show the absolute famine mentality that BDO players have. Like,
Yeah.
if you're getting excited over a character page, I highly recommend you take a break from the game and see what it does to your
Yeah.
mental health. I highly recommend you just take a break from the game.
I found myself in a really weird, like, with updates like this in like a weird middle of the ground place where it's like, yes, I'm glad it should be, it's added to the game finally. But then you kind of hit this world where it's like, should they really be praised for adding a screen where we can see our stats after a game's been out for 6 years? You know, like that's where I really find this like it took 6
How low
years,
can the bar go, dude?
right?
Like,
It
how
took
low can the
6
bar go?
years for them to finally release a screen that shows the stats your character has just for being a specific class. And that's where I like hit this weird thing where like, damn, dude, like it's good they did it, but I don't think they should be praised for it. Like, I'm glad they did it, but come on, bro. It's been finally 6 years for something that was like that people data mined. I don't know.
So
Well, I can't. The number of people who are asking me if I'm going to come back to the game because of these things too is kind of. It's so like, it's like, did you watch any of my streams over the last year? Like, how, I don't understand how people could even ask me that, or why they would even want me to come back at this point. Like, I don't know who was even still enjoying my BDO content towards the end. Like, I certainly wasn't. So yeah, no, I'm not coming back to the game anytime soon. You know, we'll see how it is in like 6 months or a year, maybe, I guess, if something revolutionary happens. But there's so many other things to look forward to right now. Coming back to BDO is not even like close to in any of my thoughts.
So the thing that I heard most about your video, and I didn't listen to the whole thing yet. I'm about a third of the way through, but it feels like every podcast that we've ever done kind of put into one Moreland monologue. So I don't feel like I've missed any of your points because I pay attention. Potion shop. But the thing that I hear, I'm fucking with you. The thing that I hear most about your video and the reaction to it, especially with the character sheet coming out, is do you think the developers or Jay or somebody listened and is reacting to it as quickly as possible?
No, I don't think so. So the enhancing thing, no way. Maybe the characters thing, maybe the character stat thing could be a reaction to my video. There's a small chance, I guess, but the enhancement thing, no way. That had to have been in development. There's no way they threw that shit together in a week. Absolutely no chance. That's something they've been working on for a while.
We broke it down.
Still in the...
We actually broke it down, and it's a Photoshop. It's not real. It doesn't exist.
What do you mean? The enhancement thing? I thought that was on Global Lab.
The enhancement thing is not on Global Lab, no, but the stats is, I believe, Global Lab. And you actually, the stats in game, like there's a little space for the little bar to appear in game for that. So that's actually done. But
the enhancing thing was added to Korea this week, right? Where you trade the Blackstones for stacks?
It was something that they're planning on releasing, and it's currently in development. So it's literally just straight up a Photoshop. Like in the actual image, they forgot to add the cronstones. Like the cronstone number just has one cronstone, no number. The Blackstone that they're using for the enhancement is not in the window. They have no scroll bar for their inventory going up and down. The entire thing's just a Photoshop that they put together, and it basically is
really. So they just made like a fake image and put it in the KR patch notes. Like what the? Wait,
yeah.
Really?
Well, and if you read at the bottom, they said this is still in development and maybe subject to change. That's why it says in Korean at the bottom of it, and so it's like they're playing. They literally just like threw it together like.
So
quick.
It could be a reaction to Marlon's video.
Yeah, it really could be. Which is crazy that's the bar, you know, that they're doing that, and I don't know. It just seems
people had me thinking that they actually put the new system on Korea, like it was live on Korea.
I don't want to be disrespectful to Potion.
Enhancing in their stream title and shit.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but can we get a confirmation on this, like for real?
Yeah, like you can look at it. Like they literally have it 36 out of 179 inventory spaces.
That's big.
Yeah. And then out of 179, right? They don't have the scroll bar in there, right? And then in their window, the new button is the Devour button, but they still have the extraction tab at the top where the old Devourer was. So yeah, and then the entire thing is not transparent for the background. So this took a screenshot with it. Like maybe it's something that they're working on internally, and that's why it looks so scuffed or whatever. But yeah, it's from Photoshop, and you can cross-reference it with like Photoshop places, and we verified it came from Photoshop and was done through there.
Dude, this may really actually be a reaction to your video, Marlon.
Yeah.
If that's true.
So you think that they threw up like a mock-up of what the UI is going to look like, and they used the mock-up without actually taking the time to code the UI yet, and that's what they put in the test? That's essentially what you're saying?
I'm basically, I think what they do, yeah, this is probably like their first phase of UI development. They have some guy who's an artist, makes a mock-up.
Yeah, they
of it.
mock it up first. That makes sense.
And in here, I think one of the cool things to point out about it is actually the first option is Valk's Cry, and that means that will probably be balanced properly, will be Valk's Cry, and it'll be really convenient to make a 30 stack out of Valk's Cry with costumes. And so I think this is a sly way, because this is Jae-hee Kim, and he's the executive producer, and he's always trying to balance what the Pro Abyss wants, which is money. And so every time he talks, he's always talking about like something that relates to money. And I think this is a clever way of trying to get a little bit more money out of the game without making the game too pay to win or the players angry. And
well, that's been my point the whole time, is that they actually have a financial incentive to fix this, because the current enhancing system prevents people from going for end game enhancing. If they got rid of the fail stacking system, or if they replaced the fail stacking system with something that was more like mobile, people would spend way more money on the game, because they would have like the process of swinging on pin weapons and pin accessories and shit like that would be way less tedious than it is now. So you'd get more attempts, which means you get more people spending money to recover from those attempts, et cetera, et cetera. Like they've had a massive financial incentive to fix this for years. And it's sort of mind blowing that they haven't, especially when literally BDO Mobile solved this problem on launch.
Now, two things I want to add is when they did the Korean notes on it, if you translate them and read through them, they say they don't want to make this too good, or so that makes it worse than existing systems. I think bad version of that means it's just as bad as current Devour and no one uses it. Or on a good note, maybe it's actually better than Reblath, but worse than, Duo, Tri, Tet, Blackstar, right, for making fail stacks. I don't really know. It really comes down to is we don't have the information to know if this is going to be good or not. It all comes down to how they balance it. If they balance it well, it's one of the best changes they've ever added to the game. And if they don't balance it well, then it's dead on arrival and no one uses it. And with what they posted, there's no way of knowing.
Dude, it's so crazy though. Like they did it again, where it's like, when you look at the first part, everything looks so freaking amazing, but they add that little text at the end where it's like everything's subject to change. It doesn't have to be like this in the final like rendition. I hate when they do that. Like it's always good, but they put the text at the end that just throws away everything that they said. Like, oh, but we don't want it to be better than the current system. The whole reason you're putting in a new system is because your current system fucking sucks. Like I don't understand why you put that there. What's the point of making a new system if the new system isn't going to be better than the old system? Like that, bro, I fucking hate when they do that. That shit hurts my brain, dude. It really hurts my brain when they say stuff like that. Like, why would you put in there that you don't want the new system to be better than the existing system? Holy shit.
Yep. They mentioned a lot of other weird stuff in there. Like,
hold on, real quick. So, what's your, if you can, because I know there's an NDA, I'm sure you value highly. What's your current status, Marlon, with the partner program? And have you been like talked to since you released that video?
I have
backlash?
I have no idea. I don't think they removed me from it or anything. I think I still have access.
The handler hasn't like talked to you or anything?
Yeah, I got DMs from people who basically said like, we hear you and we're doing what we can and we wish you luck. Like no one said like, I mean, they said what you'd expect them to say. Right?
Yeah, like no, like wait, please don't kind of thing. Just like, oh yeah, cool, good luck.
Bro, then no, I don't expect anyone from the partner program to beg me to stay. Yeah, no, they wished me luck. I mean, they said what I'd expect them to say. They said what I would say if I was in their position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did make one more post in the partner, because there was one thing that happened. I don't know how much detail I can give, but there was one thing that did happen in the partner program that seemed like it was a reaction to my video, where they basically they were asking people for feedback about the program itself. And so I feel like that could have been a reaction to the video because, I literally said in the video that I thought the partner program was a failure. And so I'm sure they felt some pressure to be like, hey, do other creators feel this? Like, what can we do to make it better? And so I made a post in there saying like that when I talk about the partner program being a failure, I'm specifically referring to the feedback portion, and that wasn't like an attack on Inlave or any of the other guys in there, because I think those guys are doing everything they can. I think their job is to be marketing people. Basically, their job is to give out free costumes and hype the game and have streams and do interviews, and I think they're doing a great job at all that. So that wasn't what I meant to attack at all in the video. And so I told them that. I said, like, you guys are not the focus here. The focus is the absolute void of, we're taking all this feedback and then putting it straight into the shredder. That was the part that I had a complaint with. And that doesn't really have anything to do with the NA team. That has to do with the devs not, being interested in what we're saying.
I mean, even the layman can see the marketed improvement from, what we had to suffer in previous.
Yeah, as a community and marketing tool, I think the program is great. But as a feedback tool, it's like they shouldn't even take feedback, honestly.
Well, I mean, they told you from the onset, right, that they were basically going to put it in the shredder, and that's not what it was for.
Yep.
I remember we had that conversation multiple times, and that was a touch point for
they managed expectations pretty heavily, but I think we still went into it with the hope that some results would happen of literally all the content creators getting together and agreeing on major flaws with the game. We thought that would make some kind of waves, and ultimately it just didn't.
Yeah, I'd love to get some Neuralio changes in as soon as possible.
But that's the other problem too, is that like the partners in that program are all over the fucking place, bro. Like they did not make the problem any better. It goes in both directions. It wasn't just the devs that ruined that feedback program. The partners themselves are fucking psychotic half the time with the shit they say.
Right. Well, it's just based off viewership, right? That was the thing I had with when Ran, sent me a message like, "Hey man, sorry I couldn't get you to Korea. I honestly tried," and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, there's more to content creators than channel views. And if you look at everybody who was invited and stuff, it was they ran down the list of channel views. Why the fuck else would they invite Blade Boquez? It was just channel views. That's all it was. And so
I would love to have Blade in the partner program, bro.
Wait,
what are you talking about?
Do you think they mentioned me because of my viewers?
Yeah, because your channel views. Not your
Really?
average viewership, but your actual channel views.
Oh, maybe. I stream a lot, so that helps.
Yep. So that's I think they get. I don't know who's in control. I don't have enough information to like come to a solid conclusion.
Well, I mean, it's honestly like a structure problem.
Basically, everything when they go like, "Hey, your content matters," right?
Yeah.
It's like Mermaid on Tap gets blind drunk, screams at people that she can wear whatever she wants, and
that really bothers her. And
then just life skills and not to the best.
Peak
not
fucking content though, dude.
It's peak content, but like. Some feedback should be weighed and some should be counted, kind of thing. I love her. I love her a lot. I'm not talking
but that's
shit,
the thing, though. Like Merm, people like that isn't the problem. Like Merm actually gives good fucking feedback into the. She's one of the only people that actually gives good feedback for.
The problem is all the Siege players, bro. They're all
big problem. It's literally the people that you think would give good fucking feedback that give horrible fucking feedback.
What?
Like literally, I haven't posted a single feedback in that thing, even though we talk about this shit all the time, just because I can't stand to look at the content that gets fucking upvoted. You literally have people that are like, we should investigate whether Wizard got ninja nerfed. Or not ninja, but Wizard got ninja nerfed. Wizard's not doing the damage that I once does. Like, who gives a fuck about looking into fucking Wizard, bro? There's actual problems in the game, and you want to talk about Wizard getting buffed and shit? Like, it's so stupid. So most of the time, I don't even like read the feedback channel, and I've never submitted any feedback because the stupid shit gets upvoted. Like, it's so annoying.
Mermaid plays, and I'm not trying to single her out, right? I'm using her name because we're friends and I can deal with this with her later. I can't believe that her feedback is like a better version than, I assume you're talking Siege player Wizard Huntler, right? We'll throw out that name. than like Huntler's feedback or whoever's saying.
I don't want to
bullshit
single
like that.
anyone out, but pretty much
Nah,
every Siege player in
not
there
me
gives bad
specifically,
feedback.
Like
Not
even
specifically, but, you know.
even EU Siege players. There's a lot, like even the EU Siege players. It's basically in general, and it's all just like a circle jerk because the majority of them
That's
play the same
insane.
class. So it's like if someone puts something controversy, like there's even people in there that ask for Guardian buffs, bro. Like why the fuck are you asking for Guardian buffs in a feedback channel? It's so stupid. Like it's like I'm actually happy if they don't listen to any of the feedback we give, because we're literally not sending quality feedback.
It's extremely self-centered bullshit. Like no one and very few players are in there trying to make the game better. Most of them are just in there complaining about their class being underpowered or like this particular part of the game that they want to be changed in their way. It's not like, oh, here's what would bring more people into the game, or here's what would make this system more accessible to a larger number of players. It's like, well, I just think that the wizard nerfs went a little too far, you guys.
Oh,
like
fucking Christ.
it's awful. It's fun.
Unreal. I'm so disappointed. That's not it didn't used to be great, but it was at least on the nose, right? Like we would talk about in between the cat pictures and stuff when I was in the partner program. Like when something was relevant, it was relevant. We never talked about fucking class balance or like used your partner status to try to, oh my God, that's so weird. Good thing they're not listening, man. Good thing they set that expectation.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like
your video may have been wrong. You might want to edit that, dude.
Dude, it's so goddamn frustrating, bro. Like with it really is. Like this kind, I know this kind of strikes a nerve, but God, Jesus fuck, bro. Like, how are you going to be a content creator, giving the opportunity to like try to submit some feedback, and you're egregious enough to ask buffs to your class when your class is fucking meta? Like, I literally play Tamer, and Frosty plays fucking Kuno. And we're not even the ones asking for our classes to get some fucking love, bro. It's literally people that play Wizard and Guardian and shit asking for buffs. I can understand if someone played fucking Shy or like Maywa, but goddamn, bro, they're literally Wizards and Guardians asking for buffs. It's so damn annoying,
dude.
So I don't even
debase myself to like ask privately for Guardian buffs. That's so cringe.
I actually do regret not going into more depth on that section of the video. That was at the point where I was 2 hours in, and I was like, I have to just say something quickly here and move on because it's way too long. But I actually do regret, like, I feel like I gave off way the wrong impression about what my problems with the program actually were. And like, I feel bad if any of that comes down on Inlave or any of the other dudes, because that wasn't my intention.
Yeah, like Inlave and Delphi, I mean, they're honestly doing the best they can. And like their interaction with the community streams and stuff have been pretty sick, honestly. Like we never really got much of that with Cacao. So, I mean, it's not the problem with the partnership guys. I think this is more a problem with the partners themselves and the people that the feedback gets sent to. Personally, right. I don't know if you agree.
Like Emre from Cacao Games was a part-time employee who didn't show up for work, right? So he did objectively a bad job, right? There's other things that came into the part of that, that whole relationship that, exacerbated it and stuff like that. But I left because my feedback wasn't, it didn't mean anything. It was literally put straight into the shredder. So I can like really resonate with that, where like I'm putting out on display. And at that point it was a really big display. I was doing the Siege podcast. I rebooted a Siege guild and I was going, this is what starting a Siege guild is like. This is what high-end PvP for BDO looks like, starting from scratch. And it's not even starting from scratch because I had relationships and I have a well-viewed stream. So I've got all these legs up, and then I'm reporting back week after week after week after week after week what the fucking problems are. And I might as well have just been posting cat pictures. And so that's why I left. And that's why I don't like give Potion a bunch of shit for not joining. Like the NDA thing's fucking stupid. But if you want to join a partnership program that values your feedback, you're just, and that's why I left, right? Like I was wasting brain cells on shit that didn't matter. And so if you guys have some upvote thing now, in that program or whatever, I'm just going to let you know that you're wasting your time typing and you're wasting your time clicking.
I mean, so like I'm more receptive to participating in the current partner program just because like they have
It's
listened
structured
to
better.
they've listened to some of the things I said. Like on day one, I was like, listen, we have to make a separate channel for all the fucking cat pics because I don't want to see that in the general chat. And you know
But
what they
that's
did?
structure.
They
That's not
actually made a
effectiveness.
separate they made a separate section though. I couldn't get the cacao partner program. I couldn't get them to make a section for people to post their
Right.
stupid fucking cat pics when we're trying to have like an actual discussion about like making the game better. So,
But at the end of the day, regardless
True.
of if there's cat pictures or not, or how far up are really like as deep in the trenches experience and feedback could possibly be, it doesn't matter how quickly that gets scrolled up. It's still put in the same place. The fucking shredder. And I
Well,
guess
the-
until you're Moreland and you make a video and then they Photoshop up some class stuff real quick, some UI stuff.
The kind of like my kind of thought on this is like if they aren't going to do feedback or if the feedback's not effective, they should make that very clear and say this is not a feedback channel. This is a partner discussion channel. We are not listening to your feedback here. Just say that straight up. Like that way there's no confusion about it. You're here to promote BDO. You're here to get free costumes. You're here to get free codes. You're here to promote BDO, and we're going to give you more opportunities to do that. And then that would, I think, then people would be a lot less upset with
Well,
it. You know,
They did say
I
that,
mean,
and that's
think
why they
about-
didn't even apply.
Yeah, that's like they handled it exactly the best way they could. If you're part of one of the NA community team members, the best thing you can say is, "Hey guys, we will do our best to aggregate your feedback and we will make sure that feedback gets sent and translated to the devs." But that's literally it, man. Like they can't force the devs to listen to what we're saying. So they did. I think that the NA team did everything that they could do. I don't think it's on them that this thing fell apart. What I think should happen is, as a whole, there should be an upvote system that doesn't just involve partners, where people can go and make, like Valheim has this, where you can go and upvote feature requests or bugs.
The
and
feedback library.
Yeah, but the feedback library is not accessible. Like most people aren't going to use that. There needs to be a very like simple thing you can do by just logging into your BDO account and going to the website. And there's a list of things that are clearly upvoted and it's very easy to use. And then people can, and then as a partner, you can go and signal boost the things that you feel are important.
No,
and then
dude.
the bigger issues will rise to the top, and then the devs can take a look at those. It's still
Wizards
not
are
going to
get
guarantee.
buffed so fast with
No,
that, dude.
'cause
That
the
is
majority
such
of
a
people-
bad idea.
No.
the majority of
like,
people are
it's
not
the-
wizards. And you ask
Yeah,
clever
exactly.
You
questions.
want the fucking guy who's level 56 and thinks this game is so hard to grind to vote on something.
His
I
opinion
want it
matters.
to be a little harder
Yes,
to get
I do
to.
actually.
His
I mean, but
opinion
that's
matters.
the average player.
Yeah.
You have to have all opinions, right?
Oh,
They need to
It's
have.
better than the selection of people.
that's
we
literally
have who
what
are
ruins
partners,
New
bro.
Worlds. Is listening to those fucking
No,
idiots.
it
Listen,
doesn't,
I
dude.
would literally rather
wrong.
listen to a brand new player than fucking Siege players. I'm gonna put it out there. I would literally rather listen to a guy that bitches
Go off.
because it's too hard
Go
to
off.
advance his Tavala than listen to the opinion of some motherfucking Siege ape who thinks that Wizard should be buffed or isn't as strong as it once was.
Fair.
Yep.
You really think that in the New World Alpha, if there was a thing where people could upvote, you think the number of upvotes for change this game into a theme park would have been higher? It wasn't. They didn't use a
That's
measurable
what
system.
happened, Moreland.
No, it didn't, bro. They didn't use a measurable system. They took 3 posts by whiny people on the forums. Forums by default have a negative bias because when you enjoy the game, you don't go post on the forums. The only people who
True.
post on forums are people with too much fucking time on their hands and too much negativity that they have to spew. It's the same reason Twitter is like that.
True.
It's not a good platform,
think
and
it's
it's
the
not a
same-
good way to actually measure sentiment. If you have a measurable system that people can upvote, and then you have a numeric value that is attached to that, then you start to get some actual usable data. There's no way that the fucking Care Bears would have outvoted the PvPers in New World, bro.
Even
Not
if
even
they
close.
put it,
Saying.
even if they made it some kind of in-game thing, right? Like you could literally access it through your escape menu in the game. Like I just think that the feedback just does not need to come from specifically just partners because a lot of them are fucking siege dense.
Especially
when
if
I
it's
get a
like,
good when
especially if
I
it's bugs and shit. Like, you can put features to the side and make that its own section, but just allowing people to upvote which bugs are actually in the fucking game so that the devs can notice. Bro, look at the error you get when you CC someone and they get desynced. If you had a bug reporting system and someone wrote like a good detailed report on desync, I fucking guarantee you that would be the number
okay,
one thing on the list. That would
if it's
dwarf every
refined,
wizard complaint in the game by far.
if it's refined, yes. If you have an open forum to everybody, that's dog shit. And I think that's
Sure.
what happens in New World.
Well,
Upvotes are what refines it, though. That's how
when you're
you do
happy
that.
with something, you don't reach for your phone and go, "Wow, this is the best dinner I ever had." When you're angry, you go, "These people are fucking dog shit." So I think that mentality,
the way
that
it gets implemented,
human
though,
propensity is what got in the way. I'm almost done. The human propensity is what got in the way of when you're angry, you type something. When you're happy, you stay off to the side. And that's it. When they made that decision, all the PvPers and the people who are happy with the vision of New World and stuff just went, "Wait, whoa, what the fuck?" But the decision was already made. So if you have like this, just anybody type anything and everybody vote on something, and you give that much influence, but if it's refined and curated, then getting the general populace, people who want to vote can vote, is way different than just like anybody.
Sure, they would need to make sure that they ask tailored questions to problems that they believe happens, and then they can confirm those with the community feedback. An example of this would be like, okay, what is your problem with gathering? I can't find a spot to gather. I can't get enough energy. I find it hard to get gear. And those would be like 3 tailored answers, and then maybe people can vote for which one is their biggest issue, right? Or like, what's your biggest problem in PvP? Desync, class balance, siege mercenaries, right? Like, you could have it in there, and then people can actually vote on what they care about the most, right? And like a tailored system like that, like arguing about how they do the Q&A is obviously, there's things like Reddit are terrible, things like Twitter are terrible. There are definitely examples of terrible, but there are ways you can do it properly. And I mean, honestly, I think the idea is they should be taking some type of good feedback, right? The current way they're doing it, the partner program, is just, it's ineffective, and the developers don't care. They need to find something that the developers actually care about, and they can implement it into the game. So you log in the game, you get a little pop-up like, "Oh, vote on this is the vote for your content, vote for your problem of the week," like, and you get a little vote like once a week. You get a vote for something. I don't know what it'd be, right? We can argue about how it should be implemented to our faces are blue, but they do need some type of feedback that gives them an accurate representation of what the players actually want.
All I'm saying is I think that when you limit the people that get to send the feedback, you then run into the problem that the people who are sending the feedback in most cases have their own agenda, and that does not mean that just because some fucking Joe Smo streamer gets 300 views on his fucking stream does not mean that he has good opinions and he knows what should be fixed in the game.
100%.
And so by having the partner program where partners are able to send feedback, that does not represent the actual community of the game. And so a lot of times you end up with shitty feedback.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
So how do you clear the signal then? You have devs who clearly don't know how to make the game better. They need input from their players. What form do you guys think that should take? I mean, the fucking global lab feedback reports. There's got to be some kind of voting system that's implemented.
Well,
the
global lab itself
is probably the
global
best
lab
version.
itself is obsolete though, because we now know that they have an in-house Korean test facility that they use for all this stuff, and they don't really gather the feedback from the actual global labs anymore.
My chat's saying that there's been polling systems in other games that lead to awful feedback, through Reddit or in-game or whatever, through like RuneScape and shit. So I think it being something that you have to go out and find, like the BDO library. It's very it's on Twitter, it's on Discord. It's talked about.
Missing the point of how a system like this would work. It wouldn't be like a binding thing where whatever gets the most upvotes gets added into the game. We're not talking about RuneScape feature requests. We're talking about signals. We're talking about signals to the devs.
Right, the feedback library is not a hard thing. That's what I'm saying. I think the answer is already there. I think the BDO library feedback is something that you have to seek out a little bit, but is also like they see how many people vote for that. We had Good Vibes Guy tell us that is what mattered most to them.
I've tried 3 different times to use that library and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm a fairly not stupid person, so I'm not sure about that one.
it could probably
I-
get better, but the idea, Moreland,
the
the
idea.
idea, I think, is probably the closest thing that is.
Sure, I think you're actually onto something there, Tim. I think it's hard to explain how
So
that
that's what I
works
was-
without actually using it before. Now, like ultimately, the goal of feedback is you get feedback for something you have a suspicion about. But the problem is developers need to have some basic understanding of the game to know what question to ask in the first place. And since
No.
they don't know how to do that, like they don't know how to form good questions, because if they did, they could form like, what's the problem with PvP? They could form a good question, but they don't know how to form good questions, which is why they're not leading to any good solutions.
Right, you guys have to put yourself in the shoes of a dev who's actually fighting these battles in Pearl Abyss. We're not talking about shitty devs who don't care about the game. We're talking about if you're actually one of the good ones at Pearl Abyss, how do you get your shit put into the game over another dev who doesn't care about the game or who has bad ideas and is ruining the game? You have to give, like, Good Vibes Guy and the other people who worked at Cacao talked about this a million times. Like, when we would say, Cap Mercs and Siege or something, they would always, like, without saying it directly, they would always say something along the lines of, like, can you get this upvoted on Reddit, or can you get like a video made about it? Like, there had to be some sort of signal boost given to that piece of content in order for the devs to have the justification to say, yes, this is something that we need to spend resources on. Like, there's clearly a massive battle that's been raging amongst the BDO devs for years between the good ones and the bad ones. We've all seen it go down a million times. You have to have some sort of tool that allows the players to like throw their chips in. And you have to have something that allows the devs who actually want to move the game forward to be able to say, look at this measurable thing that we have here that shows that this is something that's worth investing in. It's not about doing a RuneScape feature request where like whoever votes on the biggest thing, that's what gets added into the game. I'm not saying the players should be the ones designing the games at all. I'm saying there has to be a measurable way to call attention to specific things, because when you have a game that's broken in 500 different ways and you can only focus on 6 things at a time, how are you going to sort through that? It's an impossible problem. They're never going to get it right. They're basically choosing at random at this point.
Okay, so you brought it up. You and Choice specifically reached out to me after the Korea trip because you got the attention of some devs about specifically capping Mercs and Siege. And I think between the two of you, I gave bullet points that could have been submitted back to people who mattered. And we are still now almost 2022 without any resolution towards that outside of Heidelball fluff. And so even when you go out and meet the people directly to their face, you bring up an issue, it is brought back. They want follow up on it. They get the most direct follow up they possibly can. Nothing happens for years.
For that one issue,
So-
yeah, but there was other issues that we did get fixed. But through that direct communication, there's several things that were fixed as a result of the direct communication between me and a Pearl Abyss employee. It's just that stuff isn't public, but
Fair.
there's several things that we directly got fixed. I don't know what's going on with Mercs and Siege specifically. They literally have had that in the works. Like it's something that they've clearly been aware of, and I don't know why they haven't just pulled the trigger on it, because
That's
they keep saying they're going to.
I mean, at the Heidel Ball thing that we just had a month ago, they literally showed that infographic where it was like 80% of Korean players dislike PvP, right? I don't remember the exact number, but it was like some astronomical number compared to the NAEU column, like every other server.
Talk about a
So,
self-fulfilling prophecy, dude.
Oh, hi, Marlon. Gambler, how'd you get that title? Holy shit.
And the gold saucer, son.
Sick, dude.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
that motorcycle's
not
so
to bring
small.
us not to bring us on this crazy tangent, but I'm basically, my TLDR is I don't think that partners should be the ones providing feedback, because especially in a program where the candidates are vetted by their ability to bring in viewership, that just because you can bring in viewership doesn't mean that you have good opinions. And
Well said.
So
Yeah, imagine if like Jake Paul and Ryan's Toys reviews were the ones running YouTube. Like, it's not a good way to like, who cares how much views the person is getting? That's not the right way
Well,
to do
like, think
it.
about it, right? Like, Big and Shiny's in there, and you would think like anytime Big and Shiny makes some kind of post, that shit would get
Sit up.
majorly upvoted. there'll be times where his post won't even get like a ton of upvotes compared to some dumb shit that somebody else posted that like has no relevancy.
Well,
So I don't
people
think
will
it's
actually
fucking-
argue
I don't
against
think-
him because it goes against their personal interests. Like he'll talk about things like time to kill, and you have these 900 gear score siege players who are like, "Oh no, time to kill is actually in a great spot right now. Like
Oh
I
my
don't think it should be
God.
changed at all."
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's
I
like
don't
you
think it's
have
a
the
fucking-
person, you literally have a person in Big and Shiny who I honestly think could probably fix the game if given the power to.
He should
And then you
literally
have
be the
these-
CEO of Black
This man
Desert.
could literally fix this game if he was given the power to. But you have these fucking siege apes who think they know more than fucking Big and Shiny. Like, it's crazy.
So I have two comments for that. Number one, I think it's obvious that I know it's obvious that, you know, most of the BDO partners are fucking idiots who are just there to get as much for them as they possibly can and know way less about the game than they lead on. But number two, when I played Star Wars Galaxies on that private server, a big point of controversy, but I actually really liked is one of my guild mates, faction mates, however you want to put it, was a actually QA for the game. And so they're developing this server to be as close to 14.1 SWG patch as possible, which has turned into kind of a meme. But I would actually help him on the test server that is public test things. And so we had somebody who was actively playing the game, who was if he wasn't the lead QA, he does it because he loves it, you know, one of those guys. And he would bring other players in, get their feedback, and QA it and send it straight back. And there's a weekly report on what all the QA guys does. And Fastburn always has good QA in those updates. And so just having something like that where Big and Shiny isn't necessarily he's not a dev, he's kind of considered staff, but he just QAs and gives really good feedback to the devs. How can a fucking passion project figure that out?
That's the thing, though. He doesn't even have to like give. He doesn't even like quote give like, oh, this system is fucked. He literally breaks it down to the fucking decimals with graphs.
All you have to do is
data
what he
that backs it up.
says. All you have to do is what he says,
even
because
easier.
He explains it to you. It is even easier. So I'm playing the video game. He's a rank 10 Jedi. He's killing people. He's out there. He's playing the game at the highest possible level in a passion project. Big and Shiny's out here doing the same thing. All he needs is some recognition, and this game is overnight better. Overnight.
Yep. I mean,
it's not like, well, it's Big and Shiny or this, or, you know, whoever, right? Pick a name. There is no second place. It is him.
Like, he's literally making a system right now where you can put in different amounts of AP and accuracy and find out your damage against any inputted number of DR or evasion. Like, this man could literally fix the game.
Yeah. The devs don't know that.
Exactly.
And he doesn't need the power. He just needs the ability and the recognition. Yep. We see you and we want it. My God, he might even get inspired at that point. I don't even think he cares. He just does it because something in his brain is wired that way. If somebody told him, hey, we see you, imagine like an awakened Big and Shiny. You know what I mean?
An awakened Big and Shiny.
Seriously, though. Seriously. Well, he's doing this because he can't help himself. We've interviewed him to length on this podcast. He does this because he cannot help himself. He is whatever he is.
I mean, and he's not even getting like paid for it, or like this man literally even provides them fucking proof of, and like chat logs and videos of people like doing things like piloting and shit or exploiting, and they don't even do anything about it. It's so
I
weird
promised
that, like,
myself
he's so underutilized.
I promised myself I wouldn't say this to you, Moreland, in any capacity, but now that we've talked about this, I'm so upset at you for not putting a Big and Shiny chapter in your video. I need you to re-upload it, please.
I mean, there's a lot of chapters that got left out of that video.
The part 2 won't be listened to as much as the part 1. So if you could just go in there and
they need to add this.
I will say, like, the idea that I have is that you have community managers that basically share the vision of the developers with the players, and they need something that is the same for the community that shares the vision of the players as a whole to the developers. And Big and Shiny is a shining
Really
example of
accurate.
that, where he basically knows how things are. They know how they work. They know how fun works and how things can be changed for the better. And they need something like that. It's not a partner program, but like a community leader program, so to speak. And I think they should probably just keep it under wraps because people would be trying to figure out how to get in that thing if it was public.
It doesn't have to be a program. It doesn't have to be called anything. Just fucking use Big and Shiny. There's not going to be somebody who can out Big and Shiny, Big and Shiny.
That's true. Yeah.
Just use them as long as he wants to do it.
Find out Big and Shiny's Reddit account, and they could literally just go through his past post history over the past 5 years and just.
They would learn more about the
Rap
game
shit.
than they would have ever known themselves, and they wrote it.
I actually went through it. I actually went through Big and Shiny's account to like look at all the posts he's made to catch up on some things I missed.
Oh, get alive.
Oh, yeah, I have another 142 hours to go.
We're way over on time.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I got us on a
Kinda.
big tangent.
Let's run through some
Kinda
things
wanna
here.
talk-
Other things that they said they're going to do.
Hold on. Marlene was going to say something. You cut him off.
Hmm.
You want to talk
I
about
kind of
what,
want to talk about Juju's post.
Oh, wait, what was her post?
Oh.
What'd she say?
sir?
Oh my gosh.
Man, I
God,
almost
don't
want to
get
just
started.
read it.
Read it
let me see if I can.
verbatim.
Let me see if I
Do
can
it.
summarize it.
Read it verbatim.
Just
Yeah,
read
let's
it.
go. Let's go ahead and
All
read
right.
it. Yeah.
Long overdue. Wanted to apologize for the lack of video content and explain what's going on. I waited for everything to cool down. Topic of my permanent suspension of BDO. Sorry for disappointing a lot of you. I know I didn't react correctly to a lot of the harassment. Humor and downplaying it was just my way of getting through it. Sorry if it seemed like I was being disingenuous. Okay, there's no way to excuses it or justifying what I did. I'm paying the price for it. It was a 2-week period where where I too wanted playing another game. I don't think this got proofread. And I made a stupid decision to have someone else grind on it and invalidated over 3 years of progress. There's a lot of pressure to stay relevant in a game like BDO where you have almost infinite progress. For me, playing any other game other than BDO felt like wasted time where I should have been grinding and I felt like shit. I needed a break. Ironically, got a pretty long one. Couldn't even get myself to play games with friends because I thought I'd be better off grinding for the next pin. I failed to realize that at that stage of the game, a couple build just doesn't matter. On a more pessimistic note, the fact that I was the only person banned, even after the initial investigation, should help you guys understand that the piloting issue is not something they're interested in addressing unless, of course, the case goes viral. I will not be coming back to BDO with a new account in the near future. I can safely say that I will not be buying in accounts or coming back to the game in the future. I'll be streaming daily, and I know I don't deserve it, but I hope to see you guys sticking around. So that is, man, that's such a good post for so many reasons. So the first half where she talks about how she didn't react to the harassment, I love the undertone of that. That's a beautifully crafted sentence. And then also the kind of like, well, I only did it for 2 weeks and it invalidated 3 years of progress. Like you can still tell that she's kind of got that sense that like she's being treated unfairly somehow or something, like the punishment too extreme. So I like a lot of that. But I unironically love the second half where she talks about feeling like she couldn't play any other games and couldn't even like play games with her friends or enjoy her life. I like that part a lot. And I also like when she talks about how she's the only person gotten banned, even though there's clearly other people who are doing this in the same time period. Like it literally proves that they're not actively investigating the piloting thing and that the only way you can get in trouble is to get directly reported probably a bunch of times to where it like makes enough of a fuss for someone to actually go in and do something about it.
Right. So that was the thing I was super upset about. And I pointed out when that whole thing, because I think it came out like a day before our podcast or whatever. And so I was like, oh, they got one that had a viral thing. So that last part of that statement is the only intelligent part of that entire post. Everything else, right? It's the McHands thing. It's the oldest adage in the world. Oh my God, I had to steal from the till this one time. I've never done it before. It invalidated 3 years of being the best employee ever. Fuck you, bitch. You fucking cheated. That's it. Yes, it was
God
invalidated because you
Jeez.
are invalidated because you're a
God damn.
fucking cheater. That's it. There's no like, I only did it this one time because I felt like I couldn't play other games because that's some relatable trope That's all that is.
It's just
That
a
is
video
that is
game,
feed for the fucking masses, dude.
So when I read this,
I know you want me to calm down on that stuff, but like honestly, I hate it. I hate it.
I feel you, and I feel like I can back you up on this in an interesting way. When she apologizes, she doesn't apologize for cheating. She apologizes for not streaming BDO, and I feel like that. And there's no apology in there for actually cheating. It's actually she's apologizing for not streaming BDO. And then if you actually read farther on, it says, "I'm just using humor and downplaying as a way of getting through it." And in the entire post, she's using humor and downplaying to get through her entire, I guess, summary of what happened.
right.
And again, like, and if you go down farther on, like if you read down like the last part where Morland highlighted it, right? It's like they're not addressing the piloting issue. There's a ton of people who have piloted and are not getting caught.
Deflection. That's deflection.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No.
Well, I mean,
it's also kind of ironic where she's like, I feel like I had to pilot instead of taking that 3-week break, when instead when it's like she's actually contributing to the problem. Like, she's literally one of the most geared players on the server. And she's like contributing to the problem by keeping this facade that like, yeah, I'm putting in all this time. I'm actually working for my gains. When it's like, honestly, the first time you catch someone is not the first time they did something. I would argue that statistically, the first time someone gets caught stealing, it's not the first time they've gotten caught or that they've stole. It's the first time they've gotten caught. Honestly.
Oh, right. Oh my God, I had to steal out of the till to feed my family. It's the first time I've ever done this. No, it's not, bitch. You've been stealing for years, right? Like, you're fired. First time. That's it.
Yeah, I do think there's a good chance that she was doing this before. I also think you guys go way too hard on this shit, though. Like, at the end of the day, it is A, just a video game, and B, a video game where progress is kind of already been soiled in a million different ways anyways. So I don't I think like the aggression towards her as a person is a little extreme.
Yeah.
No.
But
I don't have any aggression towards her.
No, and the thing is,
the post was definitely funny to read though. Like, it was
she's
undeniably
a person of poor character. She's a cheater.
Well, all right.
Lying about lying.
Tim,
all this
in
stuff.
A video game though, bro. Like, it's a fucking video game.
Yeah.
It's still lying about a video game. Bro, I
only thing
so much in video games when I was younger. That's all I did from the age of like 9 to like 22. I would cheat
a fucking rat, dude.
constantly, bro.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't like is that they went through the whole spectrum of lies and reacted horribly.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like I just wish they took the Hands perspective, where like when Hands got caught and banned for it, like he was like, yeah, it's like whatever. Obviously, it doesn't make it different.
That was the first time he got caught.
Of course, bro. I obviously believe that. Obviously, that if someone's gotten caught, they've done it more and more. But it's still like, I can respect that. Okay, they said they got caught and they owned up to it.
All right.
Where it's like, instead you're gonna be like, my brother was grinding on my account. Then they said that I got banned because I was playing from Australia, and you're not supposed to VPN from Australia.
Yeah,
like,
that
that's
was
fucking
cringe.
like that right there was really cringe. Like, I have no course against them as a person. I just think it was kind of shitty. It shows shitty on their personality that they would like.
So what I wanted,
it is personal. It's their personality. A rat is a fucking rat. That's
but I'm not gonna call him a bitch, Tim. You know what I'm saying?
It's not like a gender thing.
That far.
It's not like a gender thing. They're playing.
You're able to
assign like a general. It's not a general thing.
cheat?
I call everybody a bitch. It's literally my thing.
Fair,
right.
fair.
So if I need to pull back and choose a different curse word that doesn't have like a gender assigned insult to it, I'm fine with that. They're a fucking rat. Okay. I take back bitch and I replace rat.
So this is how I this is how I'm
bad with this shit. I just don't care, right? I call people cunts, bitches, and everything. Right. If they're offended by it, it's probably because they are one. That's it.
All right, so let me give my perspective on how I'm handling this personally for me. I read this. I was looking forward to seeing maybe a changing character, a potential changing character. Wanted to see like an actual apology. I wanted to see that, hey, made mistakes and, maybe a little remorse. Something along those lines is what I was looking for in this, as a person who actually, watched Hunter Juju, had him talk to my chat. Like, that's what I was looking for this. And basically, I didn't get any of that. And so the response is, I can't control what Hunter Juju does. I can't control what anyone else does in the world. And so if I can't control them, which I can't, right? The response to that is I just have to separate myself from them. And it's not worth my time to get mad about it, because then I'm just wasting my actual mental effort to get angry about it, right? And so I'm just moving on from this, right? I've unfollowed her and I'm just moving on. And I don't want anybody to go out there and attack her, right? She doesn't deserve your time to go out there and get and harass her. Please don't do that. Like, enjoy your video.
Definitely don't go out. Don't harass
Yeah,
her.
go out, like, go and play your video game, have some fun, and then learn that this is someone that you don't want to make a friend of in real life. If you meet someone who's like this, right? Maybe you learn a life lesson from this, right? But if you don't agree with it, like, don't go out there and harass her. She doesn't deserve that. Even after you do something bad.
If you also are a rat, then here's another rat you can make a friend with, right? There's other rats out there that don't give a shit about
if
that
you
kind
like,
of stuff.
if you want a rat friend, there you found
There you
one.
go.
Hey! By the way, Tim Moro Potion, look in general chat in the Discord. I was supplied with.
You've got to stop drinking before these podcasts, man. It's really effective.
Some of the stuff, the proofs that it's not a first time thing or one time thing.
Yeah, my chat's been telling me that too.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm so torn on this. Have you guys really never cheated in a PvP game before?
Not since I was 12.
I'm trying to think what games I get banned in.
Okay, but
in
there's
a PvP game.
Well,
no,
you gotta
never.
think,
Not
right? There's a
game.
difference between like cheating in a game and also virtue signaling, making it seem like you're the hardest grinder in the game and you've worked for everything that
Thank
you
you.
have. There's a big difference, right? Like when I've done stuff in the past in video games, I never once acted like my shit don't stink and I'm literally the hardest grinder in the game. So that's why I'm the best. Like there's a difference, right?
That's the only slack I really cut her, is that it's really easy to get wrapped into, and people will even tell you Choice is successful because of his gear and how hard he grinds. That's not, I don't believe that to be true. I kind of separate myself from that. I think streaming is about community and personality and connection, which is why I have so few viewers, because I have none of those things. No, but I understand that, like, one of the tropes of streaming video is posting your pins or posting your gear or grinding harder than anybody and looking like you have all the information. It's the same with PoE or anything else. So I understand the pressure that she dishonestly talked about in that message. But if you read through the lines and really you have the perception of being a streamer, can understand that there is that pressure if you're separated enough from the community and the idea of what streaming really means that you may feel to have. But that is a weak excuse for just being a fucking rat, in my opinion.
All I'm saying,
these screenshots are from 2019. Are you sure? Is this definitely like legit? These are confirmed.
Literally old.
2019. She's been doing this since 2019.
If you have 700 gear score, you're not necessarily a cheater. But if you cheated, you have 700 gear score.
Oh my God,
the standard
dude.
now is 104.
That is
that's what I have.
Context right there. Whoa.
I couldn't be happier to get out of this fucking, like, the BDO streamers disliking me. Good, right back at you. You're a bunch of piles of fucking shit, man.
Again, bro. For me, it's all with context and the way someone reacts to a situation. Everybody has cheated in some form or some fashion in something in life, but it's really the way you react to getting caught that's really big for me, right?
And
all I'm saying is I like the way that Hans reacted more than the way that she reacted.
I'm trying to think. I remember how
no hate for her, and definitely nobody go out and harass her. But I'm just, honestly giving my opinion. Because,
bro, this is how I remembered how I cheated. I cheated in RuneScape back in the day. I made an auto hotkey program that would run around in RuneScape and would farm gold. It would just go. I think like click on a rat to respawn, run over, pick up the gold, and click on the rat to respawn or something like that. And I think I got like 3 accounts banned trying to figure out how to make that work and get caught. And then, but that's like I think it was the last time I ever did that, and that was, I don't know, a decade ago or something like that.
So to me, Hunter, Juju, and Hans are both void of character in this scenario, right? Hans gets a little more pass because when this whole thing came over, he got caught up in the initial thing, right? So what would show character to me and what I would be like, you know what, that person's fucking all right. I really support that person. Is if Potion Shop came out right now because he RMT'd 2 years ago or 6 months ago or whatever and goes, you know what, now that I see that this is a big point of contention, people are getting banned for it, I'm going to come out and let you guys know that for these months, I RMT'd for this amount of hours. It was wrong. I felt bad about it. Or I didn't, and now I've learned, or it didn't seem against the rules, and now whatever that was, without getting caught, would just go, I did it.
I'll tell you what I've done. I'll tell you what I've done right now. I'll tell you what I've done. Bought 1,100 loot scrolls, and I spent $700. I think it was $700 on Cronstones when they first came out. That's what I've done.
Outlook on this. At the moment that they added Cronstones to the cash shop, I stopped caring about someone cheating in this game. Like as a moral issue, obviously I still care in terms of like, I think it's something that they should, enforce. And if I found out someone in my guild was doing it, I would kick them, etc. Like I'm not saying I would participate in it, but that's mainly because of like my status as a streamer and because I don't want to lie about it, right? Like if I was gonna do some shit, I would be honest, especially with my friends. I'd be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
I
wouldn't lie to my own community about the shit. Like the stuff that she's posting, especially if these screenshots for 2019 is true. She's like actually playing her own community for a big fool here. That's fucked up. But the cheating itself in the video game, I don't think that impugns someone's character at all. I think it's a fucking video game, and it's a video game where you literally cheat legally by buying shit from the devs anyway. So who gives a fuck? I don't think it has anything to do with someone's character that they cheat in BDO. I think if they lie about it afterwards or they try to act victim or anything like that, yeah, that impugns their character.
That's what they're all doing.
But the cheating itself has nothing to do with their IRL character. It has to do with the game.
So for a good example,
how all these people have treated this, they are rats. They do have low character. They are. I think the way
Hands reacted was exactly the way I would react. Like if I was doing something like that in BDO and I got caught, I would come out to my community and I'd be like, "Hey boys, I was cheating. I was cheating. Like I'm gonna start over and I'm not gonna do it again. Or maybe I will, but I just won't get caught this time. Right? That's exactly how I would handle it.
Bad character.
I think
it's a video game, though. Like that's the thing. Like you're acting like these people are cheating on like the stock market or something. Like it's a fucking game with like a legal cash shop where you can cheat, but the devs allow it because they get the cut. Like it's not about character, dude.
Maybe it's a personality flaw, but I sincerely believe that.
At the end of the day, it's just an opinion of what is the definition of a cheater versus not a cheater, and how you value that as someone's character. Right? Different people have different values, and that's fine. I think for me personally, the way I define this is you have cheating in a single player game where you can download a mod and beat the entire game super easy and no one cares literally at all. And then so what's the difference in that and multiplayer game? Well, the multiplayer game, it affects other people's experiences or can. And especially as a streamer, there's another layer of that where you're deceiving people in the community. So in a multiplayer game, like if it's impacting other people and then that's really bad, right? And I think that's a bad character. But if it's not affecting other people, like the way Hunter Juju was doing it, like piloting, it doesn't affect other people. I don't think that could or could not be a bad judge of character because it doesn't have an impact. It's not like you're.
It's so wrong. No, you're so close. You're so close.
The thing for me is I agree wholeheartedly with Moro. The biggest thing for me is it comes to the reaction. It's about the reaction of the way the person carried themselves while they were doing the cheating / after, right? Like if you literally virtue signal and openly talk about people being rats for like piloting, and you yourself have been doing it the entire time, and then after it's done, you literally say some shit like you got banned because you were playing from Australia. Like that's fucked, bro. Especially when it's someone that like it's like, damn, yeah, they're geared. I respect that. Like they actually got more gear than me. That's
People
crazy.
Looked at her stream and gave her money, real life money. There's real value in this stuff. So you can see it's just a video game and shit. And that streamer layer is just not a different layer. That is the part that I'm upset
lying
about.
To your community about it is definitely an IRL character thing. I will impugn her character for the lying part.
That's what I'm talking about.
I just won't do it for the cheating part.
But the cheating part and the streaming part, I can't separate those things. She is advertising something that she is cheating to achieve. and not just like buying cron stones or something. She's probably doing that too, and then having somebody grind. Her level was insane, right? There's so many different things.
Dude, bro, we cheated in BDL so many times. We were just always honest about it.
I didn't forge shop on my horse with the hunting rifle, Moreland.
Bandanas on your horse at Pirates, you were fucking
I didn't
cheating.
do it.
We just all agreed that like, who cares? Like, we didn't,
Yeah,
you know, we
exactly.
were just honest about it.
Like the thing for me is, like I said, it's just always in the way that someone handles it. I really fucking dislike.
I'm supposed to raid right now. I gotta wrap pretty soon.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up. So let's go over some of the news stuff. Some things that said they're going to work on in the Jae Kim. Node War rewards. They're going to work on Crow coins, Patrigo shop, Dark Rifts. They're going to make field bosses more, I guess, alluring somehow. Machamp Voodoo scrolls and the scroll from Odalita, along with the other stuff we talked about earlier as the UI stuff they're working on enhancing and stuff. Dragon fossils, they're going to make it where there's new NPCs in the game where those you can go turn them in. Don't know why anybody would care about that. That's basically the news for what's on the way. I'm trying to think. There's also a 10v10 arena for New World, which looks insane. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Honestly, it looks like it's going to be really fun. It looks like they put
20v20.
Yeah, they put that.
So real quick, the feedback on that I got on my Twitter a little bit is that the balance isn't there, right? Like the idea is there, but from probably not supposed to talk about it, but from this person who posted to my Twitter said from their experience in the alpha is that the balance isn't quite there yet. So there's work to be done on it. But from what we can see from the video, the idea of it and my experience of playing the game, it seems like it could be a super fun queuable 20 to 40 minute PvPvE scenario that tailors itself well into the New World game, and I'm extremely excited about it. And if it's one-sided, then Aftershock's going to win it every time.
It looks like it's going to be a really I hope they get the balance right, because I think the core of it's really exciting. I feel like it gives me the Shadow Arena vibe a little bit of like something that people can jump in as friends and go and do.
I think you were right with the MOBA sense. I think it's got a little bit of that MOBA because it literally has a mob called Baron that gives a very similar buff and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting. 10 days, man. One more podcast, and 3 days after that, we're there.
Sword of Legends has been released. This I don't know, almost like an indie Asian MMO. So if you're looking for something new to try out, it's something you play for a couple days and you're basically done unless it's your flavor of MMO. Ashes of Creation.
We didn't even talk about that. Oh my god!
No.
4-hour podcast. We didn't talk about AOC.
He's been running smooth, honestly.
Yeah, Ashes of Creation has
Next
had that.
week.
We'll jump more into that. Asmongold streamed it. There's some good things, a lot of bad things, but it is an alpha 1, so I don't really judge it too hard. Looking forward to talking about that next week. And that's
next week we lead with AOC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch some videos, get a really good opinion, and let's hash that out next week.
Absolutely. And that's it. That's it for the topics of the week. Just wanted to get the news out there.
Appreciate that. Should I wrap it up?
I think so. It's about that time.
Go ahead.
All right, real quick. Let's hit everybody and what they're doing this week on stream. Kerr, what's going on, man?
Me, same old. I have no idea. We just kind of winging it. I really want to play some other games, but
You want to play something together, man?
We'll figure it out. Yo, let's play. You ever played
Among
that
Us
game
this week?
Can we play some Among Us? I never played the modded stuff.
Let's pick a day and do it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm just kind of winging it. Yeah, what about you?
How about you, Marlon? What's up this week, bud?
Lots of Final Fantasy 14. I'm trying to think if I actually have anything else going on. I'm super tunneled on this game right now. Like, there's other stuff I kind of want to do in the background. I kind of want to play some Among Us or like finish Subnautica, but like honestly, 14 has just been. I'm so like in the honeymoon phase right now. I just kind of want to enjoy it for as long as it lasts, you know.
Yeah. Potion, how about you, man? What's up? How many hours are you at?
I'm 980 hours. I guess 983 hours now.
How many are left? I'm sorry. How many are left?
Oh, I have 142 hours left. 142 hours left.
And if I gave you $5, how much would that put on the timer?
Right now that adds 30 minutes to the timer.
All right. So what's your you already beat BDO. What are you gonna do next?
The plan is to continue pushing energy in BDO. We just got the infinite potion like literally during the podcast, so it was kind of insane.
So cool.
So yeah, push energy up to 620. Probably I want to get C20 in the boots and farm some money for Corsair Awakening Weapon before New World comes out. So probably do a little bit of that. I'm not really sure past there. I'm gonna have this wing in it right now because I've done everything I was wanting to do. So,
well, in 10 days, we're all playing New World together for at least a couple of those days.
Hell yes.
I cannot wait.
I'd like
Join
to
the New World Discord if you haven't joined it yet. Get in there, sign up, let us know if you're going to play with us. You do want to play with us. It's going to be a fucking blast. We dominated the test. Get in there, boys.
Do you have a command in your stream for it?
No, I'll make one right now.
! New World in my stream. I'll send the link over to you right now, Marlon. Actually, I'll have Ked do it. Ked, put this link in his chat and he'll make a command for it.
Yeah, I need that too.
Yeah, okay. I'll have Ked put it in yours. If he's not banned, most of the people in my stream are banned in yours. The Nomi Malone, the guy who's leading up crafting, is banned in your stream. By the way,
Nomi's banned. He's such a nice guy.
Why'd you
He's like the
ban
nicest
Nomi?
guy.
What the fuck?
Oh, I have no idea.
He put it in officer chat. It's like, yeah, I'm watching Potion stream. What's happening here? Why is 400 people watching him sleep? And it's like, you have been permanently banned. I'm like, Nomi, what happened? He's like, my world is over after this. Anyway, so I'm gonna focus on Dark Souls. I'm still pushing 14, but I really kind of want to get as much Dark Souls in the next 10 days as I possibly can. But Morlin, my boy Zabby, and myself are leading a New World guild. We are taking the top gamers, the top of the top gamers, people who are gonna tell their girlfriend to fuck off or boyfriend to fuck off. They're gonna call off work for a couple days, figure out what they want to do in beta, and then go as hard as fucking possible on live. We're not going to go on the sweaty Asmongold server, but we're going to take over whatever server we're on. We're going to be the best. We're going to make and follow the metas. We're going to do the research. We're going to make the spreadsheets. We're going to go in on this game, and it's going to be as fun as humanly possible. So if you want to join us, we've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 major streamers. We've got another 4 or 5. There's probably somebody you like. It's the best of the best of all of our
That's too many
communities.
streamers. Can we get rid of some of those? I don't like that.
Well,
Wait, what am I getting into? The fuck?
I hope Pox joins us, man. That'd be great. Anyway, so on behalf of Kerr, Moreland TV, Potion Shop TV, my name is Tim Allen 1337. This was episode 52 of Nerds and Words. Thank you guys so much. Personally, on a personal note, this was my favorite episode of this podcast to date. So I'm extremely looking forward to the next one. Thank you guys for your time. Have an excellent, excellent week. And we are normally live on Twitch on any of our channels. What is that? It's Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. But, you know, real life happens. Today it was on Saturday at like 5 Eastern or something. I don't know. I got the time wrong. But make sure you follow all of our channels. It's on Spotify. You can find the link. And then it's also on Potion Shop's YouTube. So if you can't catch us live, catch us there. Have an excellent, blessed week. Do something nice for somebody this week. And tell your loved ones you love them. Have a great week.